Kanagi finally gets the message she is trying to send. Ikika admits she didn't know how great a Captain Makoto was, but she knew he was special. He was clearly an incredible leader, though things might be different for Kanagi starting out. With his skills, he definitely has the potential to reach that same level. She points her wooden stick directly at him. She advises Kanagi to stop trying to be Makoto and focus on the path entrusted to him instead. Kanagi hears this and flashes back to that handshake with Makoto, replaying that memory. He realizes it is time to stop comparing himself and start looking toward the future. Ikika beams, declaring that for the sake of that future, she is going to personally oversee his training. With that, they both dive into intense training, pushing each other past their absolute limits. 2 weeks later, and we are back at the Anti-Prophecy headquarters. Captains Hibiki and Todoroki are busy reviewing the latest list of recommended squad candidates. That list comes directly from the superintendent, and surprisingly includes both Kanagi and Ikika. Some members find this selection odd. Meanwhile, just outside the building, a dark figure speaks on a cell phone, informing someone they have successfully broken into the facility. They also mention that the new squad captain exam starts in just 3 days. This mysterious figure, carrying the Book of Doom, they boldly declare that they will soon lead the new Anti-Prophecy squad. This person is actually Eva, a lethal member of the 12 Apostles of Apocalypse. Eva has a terrifying skill called Heavenly Demon, letting her steal the identity of anyone she kills. Her plan is to become captain and tear the entire organization apart from the inside out. While Midori hunts the 12 Apostles, more than half of their numbers have already been slaughtered. Since they cannot take him in a fair fight, they have decided to destroy the Anti-Prophecy group through inner sabotage instead. Their motto is simple: do whatever it takes to fulfill the prophecy. 3 days later, you and I are at the grand training field. The high-stakes selection exam for the new squad captain is finally underway. As the hopeful participants gather, the instructor announces there will be 4 tests, with only 4 warriors reaching the final stage. The exam follows a point system. First place gets 3 points, second gets 2, and third earns just 1 single point. In the end, whichever candidate has the highest score will be named the new squad captain. The superintendent watches closely as the instructor demands everyone give their absolute best effort. Everyone shouts their agreement in unison. Kanagi feels the heavy weight of the crowd's gaze. There are 8 candidates here. Koki from Yagaruma, Akihina from Yuryusa, and Sanobe from the Yushima squad. Then there is Hisagi from Makabe, plus Sakazaki from the Tsurusaki squad. Finally, Shikami from Todoroki's team and Uryu from the Hibiki squad round them out. However, the real danger is that one of them is secretly Eva, a member of the 12 Apostles hiding here in plain sight. Then there is the special recommendation, our main guy Kanagi. Unlike the others, Kanagi is all alone because his captain Ikika is nowhere to be found. Oversleeping, obviously. Still, she sends a message warning him that if he loses this, she will personally make him regret it. Determined not to get cut before Ikika arrives, Kanagi steels himself for the battle ahead. Meanwhile, Ikika is racing toward the grounds while riding on Sue's back. She yells at him to move much faster, knowing that if they don't hurry, they will miss the most crucial moments. She has total faith in Kanaga's victory and refuses to miss his big moment. Back at the training field, let's watch as the first test officially begins: mana measurement. Everyone's jaws drop as Kanagi lets out a massive surge of pure energy. The machine shatters instantly, securing him the #1 spot. Akihina from the Yuryusa squad sits at 5th, absolutely floored by Kanaga's terrifying display of power. Sakazaki and Sanobe take 2nd and 3rd, realizing they are looking at a total monster. Sakazaki notes these anomalies pop up when a once-in-a-generation genius enters the exam with insane mana or strength. He figures Kanagi is some kind of mana prodigy. Just like that other weirdly strong guy, Shikami, at rank 7. On the scoreboard, Kanagi is leading the pack with 3 points. The instructor calls for the second test, hand-to-hand combat. Now, the real fight starts. It is one-on-one matches now. Every win adds 2 points to their total. As the instructor announces the first pairing, Shikami steps up voluntarily. He wants Kannagi, right here, right now. Shikami is their best melee fighter and another total freak of nature in this exam. When he was only 2 years old, he was caught in a massive monster outbreak from another dimension. But as a baby in a stroller, he killed every single monster, leaving his mother speechless. He saved her life and became an instant legend. Up in the stands, Hibiki calls foul, accusing Todoroki of cheating by throwing Shikami into the fray. Todoroki just laughs it off. Shikami is simply his best, a monster blessed with both elite magic talent and terrifying physical strength. He boasts about training the kid personally since the start, and from that day until now. Absolutely, no one has ever beaten him in a fair fight. Hearing this, Hibiki wonders if this will be over in a second. Shikami's combat skills are basically unmatched. The fight kicks off. Shikami gets in Kanaga's face, asking if he's the one actually teaching Hinata. Thinking of the founders, Kannagi just says he is a simple messenger. Shikami doesn't get it, but he's convinced some secret master is training Hinata, who's already a complete genius on her own. He claims that even without Kannagi helping her out, Hinata will eventually grow beyond everyone else by herself. Instead of fighting back, Kannagi just nods and agrees. That really pisses Shikami off. Losing it, Shikami triggers violent bite, warping his body into a monstrous shape. With a blur of blinding speed, he launches himself straight at Kannagi. Kannagi barely ducks the first strike, but Shikami follows up with a lethal claw swipe. Todoroki is loving it, thrilled to see his ace finally cutting loose. Shikami swings with everything, but Kannagi just sidesteps. Then, Kannagi shifts into Kyudo's stance to end this. He grabs his wrist and slams the beast into the dirt with unbelievable force. A massive shockwave explodes, debris flies everywhere, and the entire crowd is left in shock. When the dust settles, both fighters are midair. The other students can't believe their eyes. Kannagi only redirected the attack, but still. It was still enough to completely wreck the entire arena. Even Kannagi is low-key impressed, but Shikami thinks the guy is just being sarcastic. After that massive hit, Shikami lands on his feet. Everyone is stunned he's still standing after the ground was pulverized. Sakazaki, glued to his laptop, notes that this outcome was simply inevitable. Shikami is a total anomaly. His physical sturdiness is way beyond any normal Awakener out there. Shaking it off, Shikami lunges at Kannagi once more. Kannagi knows that just playing defense won't win him this fight. Time for a different approach. Tapping into his founder power, he throws a light kick at the charging Shikami. Then, he multiplies the force using his penetration technique. The luminance kick, he strikes the midair Shikami with lightning-fast speed. Jaw-dropping, everyone watches as Shikami hits the dirt, completely defeated. The instructor dives in, stopping the carnage before things get ugly. He names Kannagi the victor, handing him 2 extra points. The squad members, they are totally stunned. This guy just crushed an irregular. Now, you and I definitely did not see that coming. Sakazaki is typing like a madman now. He never expected Kannagi to be a master of close combat. He figured Kannagi would just fail and vanish on his own. But now, it is clear Kannagi is a major thorn in his side. Shikami finally groans, opening his eyes as he wakes. He is hit with a shock. Kannagi is standing over him, casting some weird high-level spell. Kannagi stays calm, he is just healing his wounds. Shikami is floored, an irregular in mana and body, and now he is a healer too. It is absolutely unreal. Still dazed, Shikami asks Kannagi if there is literally anything he cannot do. That question hits Kannagi like a painful memory of when he couldn't save his brothers in the Makoto squad. Once the healing is done, Kannagi tells him it is time to get up now. Suddenly, boom, a massive explosion rocks the training area nearby. Kannagi looks over. Look at that, the final match of the exam has begun. Shikami panics slightly, worrying about how long he was out. It must have been ages, right? Kannagi just shrugs. it has only been about 5 minutes. Apparently, the other fights kicked off the second theirs ended. Most matches were instant, but Sakazaki and Hisagi have been at it for 5 minutes straight. Both are relentless, trading heavy blows with everything they have got. Hisagi slams into Sakazaki, pushing him back. She mocks him, calling him out for having 0 special abilities. She sneers that without a unique trait, he is totally unfit to lead as captain. Sakazaki just checks his gear. He calmly tells her he was never the flashy type anyway. In his eyes, putting a normal person in the captain's chair is basically signing a death warrant for the whole team. He believes a real leader adapts to every nightmare situation they face. Everything he does is to boost their survival chances, even by just 1%. Sakazaki is dead set on his goal. He won't end up like those dead Makoto squad losers. That cold statement strikes a nerve with Kanagi. Hearing someone talk about his fallen friends like that, absolutely not. Shikami snaps too, warning Sakazaki to watch his mouth before things get ugly. Back to the fight. Hisagi unleashes her disciplined chain sword, kicking up a whirlwind of energy as she charges straight at Sakazaki. Sakazaki blocks the attack, but the sheer force still sends him crashing straight into the dirt. Hisagi doesn't waste a second, diving in for another strike. But right before the blow lands, Sakazaki does the unthinkable. He unexpectedly surrenders. The instructor immediately stops the match and calls it for Hisagi, leaving her standing there in total shock. Her teammates have to quickly restrain her, as she absolutely fumes with rage. She is furious that Sakazaki just gave up instead of putting up a real, honest fight. As for Sakazaki, he just shrugs it off, claiming he expected the battle to last longer. Honestly, he's just saving his strength for the real tests coming up later on. Walking away, he knows he could have won easily, but revealing his true, terrifying power this early just wasn't part of the plan. Especially not with Kanagi, watching his every move like a hawk. Stage 2, hand-to-hand combat, is finally over. Kanagi is dominating the scoreboard with 5 points, followed closely by Tsunobu who has 3. The instructor grants everyone a 30-minute break before the third examination officially kicks off. But then, he drops a massive bombshell. In the next round, the 4 fighters with the lowest scores are getting eliminated. Lunch starts but Kanagi is distracted. Where are Ikika and Suo? They really should have been here by now. Meanwhile, Suo finally makes it to the headquarters, literally carrying Ikika on his back and looking totally exhausted. He is confused when she starts heading for the courtyard instead of the training grounds. When he asks what she is doing, Ikika reveals she can smell a lingering aura, a scent that suggests someone died here very recently. It looks like the residue of an Awakener, someone slaughtered by a monster with overwhelming power. Hearing that, Suo is completely frozen. If an Awakener really was killed on these grounds, it means someone has infiltrated the headquarters, despite this place being a well-kept secret. Ikika argues that the 12 apostles are skilled enough to track them down, leaving Suo even more rattled. When he asks what they are even after, she just brushes it off and suggests they head over to the training venue instead. But deep down inside, she knows the victim was likely a squad captain-level fighter, yet there are 0 official reports of any incident. This whole situation is becoming way too suspicious. Now it's not just Midori. Ikika, Suo, and especially Kanagi are all working together. They're all hunting for the same thing, revenge for Captain Makoto. Meanwhile, back at the lunch break, everyone is busy patching up their wounds and grabbing a meal. While others chat, Sakazaki sits alone, glued to his laptop. Kanagi, hanging with Shikami, looks up. He is pumped when he finally sees his comrades, Ikika and Suo, arriving. The mood shifts. Everyone gets nervous the second they realize Ikika has arrived. She is one of the elite 5 members of the Special Task Force, along with Suo. Suo watches the gathered captains and feels something is off. Ikika, claimed a captain, was murdered right here on the grounds. Yet all 7 captains are standing right there in front of them. Ikika just smirks. She waves Kanagi over because she has something massive to tell him. She tells him everything, dropping the bombshell that one of these captains might actually be a member of the 12 Apostles in disguise. Based on Ikika, the lingering aura she felt in the courtyard makes the theory highly likely. The person who died was definitely a powerhouse at a captain's level. But since every captain is present, things just don't add up. Logically speaking, it should be impossible. Unless someone is wearing a dead man's face, there's an imposter among them. Kannagi tenses up as the danger sinks in, and Suo agrees. The monster who murdered a captain is standing right there with them. Suo's worried, and honestly we should be too, that more bodies will drop. If they just leave it alone. That extinction-level prophecy might actually come true for all of humanity. With a twisted grin, Ikika suggests a much more brutal solution. Just kill everyone here and wipe out the threat completely. Suo and Kannagi shut that down immediately. They only need to find and kill the 112 Apostle member hiding among them. Getting hyped, Ikika realizes that if it really is a 12 Apostle, this might be their big chance to avenge Makoto. After all, those monsters are responsible for his death. She looks at Kannagi, asking if he wants blood too. Memories of what happened to Makoto and the squad flash back. He nods. Suo clenches his fists, unable to forget the fate of his brother. Kannagi turns to Azure, the lead detective, to get his take. Azure suggests his first move should be checking the crime scene. But they are currently in the middle of a test, making that move impossible. Kannagi considers rushing over there, since there is still a bit of time left before lunch. But Azure warns that moving now might tip off the killer. If this apostle is like the monster from the snowy mountain, he could massacre everyone here whenever he feels like it. They have to be ready for the worst-case scenario. So, Kannagi decides to hit the training grounds once today's test is done. He wonders if there is a chance that even the masters would fail to find any aura at the scene. Hinoki speaks up, mentioning they have been near a volcano for a month. That is where he finally mastered his one-handed sword style. He explains that the volcanic heat might be messing with their energy flow. It could be masking any leftover aura in the area. Mage adds that if the aura is only detectable up close, it almost definitely belongs to a 12 Apostle level threat. Azure gets annoyed that everyone is doing his job for him. He tries to protest, but Hinoki shuts him down instantly. They need to focus on catching the killer so he can end him. Back to the questioning, Azure tells Kannagi to ask Ikika something. Kannagi then asks if it is possible the apostle came in as a candidate rather than a captain. This catches Ikika off guard, but she thinks it over. She admits it's possible, especially if we mean the captain candidates. But they cannot rule out the captains yet either. Fortunately, Kannagi gets it. And he quickly forms a plan for the next combat test. Let's see if it works. But just a few minutes later, the instructor announces Stage 3 is a written test, and Kannagi is absolutely floored by the news. The candidates are locked in private chambers without phones, no outside help allowed. This means Kannagi is completely cut off from finding out anything about that infiltrator. The test is all about the rules of the anti-prophecy. Kannagi doesn't understand a single word of it, but he refuses to quit, pushing through with pure grit. Finally, the test ends, and the results are announced. Kannagi fails to earn a single point. Meanwhile, Sakazaki climbs to second place with 3. 4 candidates, including Shikami, are cut from the competition. Kannagi feels totally embarrassed after pulling the lowest score on the exam. But as he stands there frustrated, Shikami walks up and offers some encouragement, telling him he did well. Both Kannagi and Shikami ended up with 0 points on the written test. But Shikami is especially annoyed that Sakazaki walked away with full marks. Even so, he praises Kannagi for keeping that first-place rank and promises he will be cheering him on in the finals. He wonders who the new captain will be, adding that once a leader is finally chosen, the superintendent will check if the new squad can actually function as a team. Shikami explains that a squad needs at least 7 members to be official. That means the captain has to recruit at least 6 other people. He tells Kannagi to start thinking about who he wants on his team once he wins. Placing a hand on Kanaga's shoulder, Shikami basically offers himself up as a member. He's confident in his skills. With a grin, he walks away, wishing Kanagi the best of luck for the rest of the test. As Shikami leaves, Azure walks up and tells Kanagi they need to visit the crime scene. Something in Azure's confident tone tells Kanagi that the genius detective has already spotted the killer. Azure confirms it, though he still needs some solid proof before he can make his final deduction. He then declares that it's finally time to go on the attack against the 12 apostles. The mage breaks down everything that has happened up until now. She mentions how Detective Azure is backing Kanagi up with his sharp methods. Hinoki is getting annoyed by how the mage keeps talking in circles. But the mage is just doing it to keep the mood light and fun. They arrive at the crime scene, where Azure takes the lead and starts scanning the area. As expected, everything fits his theory perfectly. The victim's identity is finally confirmed. Now he knows exactly who the killer really is. Hearing this, Hinoki realizes their enemy is definitely one of the 12 apostles. That means he might have that Book of Doom, the same one the last apostle held. The mage asks what their next move should be. Just as Kanagi starts to answer, a surge of energy hits him and he is pulled into a cloudy realm. There, he comes face to face with an old lady. When he asks who she is, she just claims to be a random granny passing through. She asks about his investigation, and Kanagi admits that a murder has taken place. This killer, a total pro, he has actually shapeshifted into someone else's skin. Granny hears this and asks if it is time to hunt them down immediately. But Kanagi stops her. He already knows exactly who it is. No guessing here either. He has hard proof, but he is not ready to reveal the truth. The old woman is baffled. She thinks it is a huge mistake. In her mind, dragging the culprit out and ending them now is the only move. Kanagi does not budge. It sounds simple, but there is a major catch. Turns out there are not one, but two killers involved here. He insists it is better to take them both down at once in the same place. He will deal with it in the morning. But he has one request. This granny is actually the superintendent. He tells her to stay back and watch. She just smiles. She plays along, saying she is just a passing old lady who will not get involved. As she turns to leave, Kanagi drops his name, and that earns him one last mysterious grin from her. Suddenly, a massive surge of raw energy rips through his entire body. Finally, he is back in full control of his body. Over at a top-secret base, the assistant wonders if letting him handle this alone was wise. The superintendent is not worried. She does not mind the wait at all. Kanagi is hunting the truth and has a solid plan. She is just curious to see his next move. Still, she orders the officers to stay ready. If things go south, they provide backup. The assistant obeys. But she is skeptical. Even after checking the scene, she did not find anything that looks special. Regardless, the boss still trusts Kanagi completely. The assistant just cannot figure out why he is so special. The reason? It is all in his eyes. The granny saw pure confidence and absolute determination in them. Dawn breaks. Kanagi is in the woods when Shikami appears to explain the next trial. This test is all about leadership. They are being judged on their potential as squad captains. Shikami knows Sakazaki will play it smart, but he is actually putting his money on Kanagi. Kanagi thanks him, then switches gears. He asks why Shikami purposely failed the previous exam. After a dark, heavy pause, Shikami claims he just changed tactics. He does not want the captain seat. Instead, he would rather do things his way while serving under a truly powerful leader. Kanaga's eyes narrow. He accuses Shikami of failing just so he could hunt down the best members. Little do they know, Ikika is hiding in the shadows, ready for anything. Faced with suspicion, Shikami does not blink. He admits he has no issue killing anyone to find a better replacement. About that third test, he says his brain was jammed. It could only retrieve old information, nothing more. That is why he got a 0. His mind just would not process the data correctly. Calling himself a fool, he figures it is just easier to wipe out Sakazaki's physical body instead. They step out into a clearing. Suddenly, every captain and squad member has them totally surrounded. In the center, Todoroki is chained up, with Hibiki and another captain standing over him. Hibiki, acting all casual and cocky as usual, calls him Mr. Apostle and demands an introduction. He realizes the jig is up. His voice drops an octave. The truth comes out, he is actually Eva, the ninth apostle. Eva explains her terrifying power. She can rip information straight out of a host's brain. She murdered Shikami for one reason. He had the most powerful body out of everyone there. Hibiki just smirks. So, the plan is to destroy the anti-prophecy from within. Eva doesn't deny it. But since she is caught, she has no choice. Everyone in this room has to die. But first, she is curious. Who was the one that actually sniffed out her disguise? Hibiki points right at Kanagi, the guy standing right next to Eva. With a twisted, evil grin, Eva glares at him. She really didn't expect him to have the pure audacity to stand so close to a monster like her. She turns, radiating pure, suffocating energy, and demands to know who the hell this guy really is. But how did it get this messy? Let's go back to right before Eva stole Shikami's body. Todoroki had just told him some big news. He was being recommended as the next squad captain. Shikami was absolutely hyped. But Todoroki warned him to keep it quiet. This was top secret information. It wouldn't be official until tomorrow morning. Getting even more fired up, Shikami joked about the whole secret thing. Since they were basically yelling, everyone around probably heard them anyway. Todoroki just laughed it off. He knew Shikami was a powerhouse. With that kind of physical strength, he was a perfect fit for the captaincy. Seeing his friend's confidence, Shikami finally agreed. He was ready to give it his all, but as they went for a fist bump, something suddenly shredded him into pieces. Just like that, Shikami was slaughtered right before Todoroki's eyes. He stood there, frozen. His brain just couldn't process the sudden carnage. Then, a chilling voice echoed through the air. It mocked how weak Shikami was, asking if this was really the best they had. For a captain of the anti-prophecy unit, the mysterious figure answered her own question, saying the squad only looked strong because of their artifacts and the person providing them. Stepping out of the shadows, she introduced herself as Eva, one of the 12 apostles, and she was really looking forward to their future together. She walked over to the corpse and triggered his heavenly demon skill, taking total control of the body. As she channels her power, Todoroki makes a move. He unleashes his Vajra punch, smashing the body into a massive spray of blood. Shaking with pure rage, Todoroki can barely breathe. But then, the sound of clapping comes from right behind him. It's Shikami, the same guy he just saw die, standing there clapping. He praises Todoroki for killing a 12 apostle with one hit, just like he'd expect from his master. Completely stunned, Todoroki turns to find Shikami standing there, perfectly fine. But before he can even move, his body is sliced clean in half by Eva, who is now wearing Shikami's face. With a twisted smile, Eva pulls out a necromantic artifact, resurrecting Todoroki as a mindless corpse slave, bound forever to her will. Now a puppet under Eva's control, Todoroki pledges his loyalty to her. But before another word slips out, she slaps him so hard his head spins 160 degrees. She snaps at him to use the name Shikami instead. Safety first, that disguise has to stay perfect. The two of them share a chilling, twisted laugh together. Back at the crime scene, Kanagi and Azure are hard at work, activating his special skill. Theatrical detective, Azure rewinds time itself to see exactly what went down here. This insane ability lets him replay the past right where it happened. It gives him a front row seat to the real truth. The catch, Azure must hold the evidence and crack the case with his own brain. He can't just look at clues, he has to actually reach the conclusion himself. Plus, this cheat code ability even lets him predict future crimes before they occur. But there is one massive downside. If Azure ever gets a deduction wrong, he loses the skill forever. One mistake and it's game over, he'll never be able to use that power again. As Azure lays this all out for the founders, they're absolutely sickened by how Eva's underhanded technique kills people just to steal their bodies. Suddenly, the room goes dead silent. as everyone turns to look at Kannagi. He's radiating massive mana, his fury completely boiling over now. He swears he'll never forgive that apostle. In the present, still fueled by rage, Kannagi lets loose a brutal attack. It's a flash reflection punch, boosted by penetration magic and aimed straight at Eva. Then comes the Luminance Fist. The strike hits her face, triggering a massive energy blast that sends her flying. She tries to recover, but the impact is so heavy she skids back across the ground. As the dust finally clears, Kannagi is stunned to hear her laughing, calling him cruel despite the beating he just gave her. She keeps talking, mocking him about his bond with Shikami and asking why he's being so heartless. But Kannagi knew this would happen. He can't take her down alone just yet. Eva, still shaking off the recoil, just shrugs it off, taunting him that his attacks feel like child's play. She screams that weak moves like that won't ever be enough to stop her. Kannagi just agrees, revealing he wasn't actually the one who was going to win. He was just stalling for time so the mage founder could take over his body. The founder steps in, claiming control as Kanaga's entire form is swallowed by energy. Watching this, Eva realizes Kannagi might be that threat the satellites warned her about. He's become something entirely different now. But instead of being afraid, she's thrilled. She flashes a wicked, dark grin. Suddenly, hundreds of mummies drop from the sky, their screams filling the air. She yells that life is boring until you're staring death in the face. She wants a real fight. Azure watches the mummies fall and realizes the truth. They're nothing but empty shells being puppeted by Eva's will. They are just the bodies of those she's conquered before. Laughing like crazy, Eva brags that these mummies are as strong as Shikami and dares them to come at her. Looking around, Hibiki counts roughly 100 bodies, all strewn about the area. Each one matches Shikami's level, a fact that leaves a nearby candidate absolutely floored. Watching from deep within his own consciousness, Kannagi can only watch. It is sick. Eva is literally using the corpses of everyone she has ever crushed. Standing right there, the mage notes that Kannagi has changed, and the founders might have too. The mummies suddenly dive straight toward the hard ground like falling stones. Using Kannaga's body, the mage makes one thing clear: Eva seriously underestimated them. Bang, lightning zaps fly everywhere, fried mummies dropping as Eva stares in pure shock. The mage takes this personally. Eva drops her minions in a free fall, hoping to force an opening before they hit. Flaming mummies begin to rain down like meteors from the dark sky. Eva is totally lost. Wait, what did he just do? Usually, this level of accuracy takes decades of hardcore training. But Kannagi did it without even blinking. He hit every single target without a single miss. The mage tells Kannagi to stand by her side and learn how things are done. Our boy is amazed. Even while using a weak body, her spell casting is flawless. Every single spell she fires off is perfectly efficient and deadly. Leaning in, she explains that while he only wanted power for himself, the founders had a very different plan in mind. They wanted to funnel their legendary power through his vessel. Kannagi has no clue what she means. She continues, even after all this, he is still drunk on that massive surge of power. His only goal was always just to get stronger and stronger. And honestly, the founders are just as obsessed with his insane talent. But after losing a friend, everything changed for him forever. That friend trusted Kannagi with the future. Now, his heart is filled with nothing but pure rage. She points at the founders. They are all hyped up. They love this new version of Kannagi. Eva, though, she is just standing there confused. She lunges at him, screaming that only the strong survive while the weak get crushed. But right before she can land a hit, a massive spark of electricity erupts, stopping her dead in her tracks. Eva looks up, dazed, as thunderbolts start screaming down from the heavens above. The mage knows people like her. They always think might makes right. But he remembers an existence powerful enough to wreck the entire tower, only to be eaten by beasts from another dimension. The mage, having watched her comrades die, now stands for the weak. It is time for payback. Walking toward her in Kannaga's body, she mocks Eva for being so pathetic. You're frustrated, aren't you? You don't even have the strength to fight back. Eva can't even stand up. Thunder strikes keep blasting her into the dirt over and over. He might have laughed while training in the mountains, but deep down. Oh, he wanted blood. He wanted revenge for everything they took. The founders all believe in one thing above everything else. One day, Kannagi will reach the same legendary peak they did. Reaching out, she promises they will always lend their aid, if sadness ever takes hold of him again. He just needs to point at the cause. They will end the prophecy for good. Without a second of doubt, Kannagi points right at the airborne Eva. Boom, lightning bolts tear through the sky, shredding her body into a million tiny pieces. Pure silence fills the air. The instructor sees a terrifying shadow of Midori and Kannagi, a true monster being born. Meanwhile, Eva is just lying there, broken and shattered. She simply cannot fathom how this kid wiped out her entire army and literally tore her body apart. Kannagi. He slowly walks over, asking if she finally respects his power. He has quite a few questions for her. He mentions knowing some absolute pros when it comes to interrogation. He wants the truth about everything that just went down. But then, a deep voice. Eva admits her current form can't handle him. Looks like her boss was actually right for once. Out of nowhere, a coffin rises from the earth. Eva calls it her final trump card. Kannagi freezes. Eva explains that centuries ago, one specific founder basically leveled the entire tower. They called him the 10,000-man army slasher, a name built on blood. To Kanaga's horror, she opens the lid, revealing Hinoki Rishu's body. The other founders, including Hinoki's own spirit, are paralyzed. She actually has his corpse. Without a word, the mage drops a massive thunderbolt, blasting the coffin directly. Hinoki is stunned, but the mage says it's go time. But it's too late. Eva has already taken control of Hinoki. The corpse stands tall, hand gripping the blade. Eva is loving this. With this power, she claims she can finally fight on their level. Kannagi feels the atmosphere shift. The pressure is absolutely suffocating. This aura is on another level, even heavier than his intense training sessions with Ikika. But she's not done. With a single snap, hundreds of minions crawl from the ground. Round 2 has officially begun. Kannagi starts to sweat, but the mage tells him to keep his cool. As the army grows, you and I see a massive explosion rip behind her. She spins around and sees the cavalry arriving. Ikika, Suo, and the whole squad are ready for war. He's not alone anymore. Eva is visibly annoyed. She really thought she had him isolated. But as the corpse speaks, Kannagi realizes something chilling. It sounds exactly like the real Hinoki. Even with the backup arriving. They're struggling. Eva mocks them, claiming these new minions are in a different league. These monsters have physical hardening skills that make them tanks. Even when the team goes all out, their attacks don't even leave a scratch. It gets worse. Every single minion has a unique skill. They're basically unstoppable. Faced with these numbers, the anti-prophecy members are getting pushed to their absolute limits. Hibiki watches closely before finally unleashing her sound visualization. It is time to get serious. A sound phoenix erupts, vaporizing a whole group of minions in a heartbeat. But even that's not enough. She stays on guard. Each minion is buffed by those individual skills, making them lethal. And then, things get even crazier. Todoroki snaps his chains and slams one of the rookies with absolutely crushing power. Hibiki moves like lightning, barely saving them from certain death. Through all this madness, Eva is just laughing. She's loving every second. She smugly claims only the captains have a prayer of surviving this absolute madness. Hearing that, Kannagi looks to the founders for support, but they stay completely silent. He turns to Mage, asking her to hand over the driver's seat for just a moment. Though shocked, she lets him take the lead. He immediately begins mocking Eva with total confidence. He calls her out for underestimating his crew, a mistake she will regret. Meanwhile, Hanada is completely surrounded by minions. But Kannaga's lesson 7 flashes in his mind. He channels his fists, summoning a massive dragon. This beast becomes the core power and foundation for his every strike. With a burst of explosive force, he kicks the absolute hell out of every attacker. Earlier, the founder Wantak noted Han's muscular and flexible build. He saw the potential for concentrated, high-speed strikes paired with his natural agility. Another founder, Eilerson, argued that his technique was decent, but it would be god-tier with their specific guidance. Back in the present, Hanada is flawlessly weaving together every single technique they taught him. Like a coiling snake, he strikes from every angle, wiping out minions with surgical precision. At that same moment, Akin holds her ground, unfazed as a literal army of minions rushes toward her. She remembers Kanaga's advice on turning imperfect things into perfection. In the past, she could only make cheap gear, but now, things are very different. But now, she uses her alchemy to break all limits, pulling stone golems right out of the earth. This was Lesson 8, and with it, she has become a force of nature. Even the minions with the toughest armor are getting crushed like glass before her. Kanagi checks on Suo, but Hinoki promises that the kid is doing just fine. He might not be a genius like his brother, but he has got his own style. Right now, he's wielding Hinoki's one-handed style, mixed with that insane Skyfall skill. With one powerful swing, he mows down an entire swarm of minions. He levels up the attack by merging it with the calendula skill. A flower-shaped shockwave explodes, wiping out everything in a massive area of effect. Watching this, Ikika feels a massive surge of pride. You can see she's blown away by his combos, but in her heart, Kanagi is king. Kanaga's complexity is just on another level compared to anyone else. While she's busy hacking away, she suddenly notices a massive fire tornado erupting right in front of her. The sight stops her cold, because this means the war between Kanagi and the 12 Apostles has finally started. But as she stares into the flames, her shock hits a new level when she realizes Kanagi is fighting the legendary Hinoki. Eva lunges at Kanagi, combining Hinoki's blade style with the devastating wave-cutting technique. But our boy just slips the attack with the smooth grace of Ultra Instinct. Eva misses him, but the impact of her swing completely shatters the ground. Kanagi fires back with a thunderbolt from Mage, but Eva doesn't even flinch. She counters with her terrifying dice slash, turning the entire battlefield into a million tiny cubes, shredding her own minions without a second thought. But our boy lives. He leaps onto the floating cubes, remembering this exact attack. He has survived this pain with his own body before. Pure grit. Meanwhile, the battlefield is a mess of shifting blocks. The rest of the team, they are barely holding on. One member grabs her teammate, trying to stop them from falling into the dark abyss. But the dice slash is brutal. It severs his arm instantly, sending Hisagi into a freefall. Down she goes. Still holding that severed arm, Kanagi spots them, just in the nick of time too. He fires off a bubble spell, catching them all and pulling everyone back to safety. The mage spirit is starting to panic. She asks Hinoki what their next move should be. Anything. But Hinoki doesn't care. He tells her to decide. Do whatever you want, basically. Typical him. She takes the lead. Then Eva drops Splitting Cloud, a massive beam blast that swallows the entire battlefield whole. Even Hibiki, a squad captain, is totally floored. This is just absolute, pure madness on screen. Eva is loving this. This founder's body is more capable than she ever imagined. She is obsessed with how perfectly Hinoki's body is built for war. But it is not enough. Eva wants more power. She needs something even stronger. She triggers Hinoki's secret technique, Indomitable. She is ready to end this. Then total shock. Kanagi catches her blade with his bare hand. Yeah, you saw that right. Hinoki's spirit is just bored. Mage starts mocking her, saying that even in this legendary body, she is still nothing but weak. Eva snaps. She screams in frustration. How could a founder's body, a literal legend, ever be called weak? She is fuming. She needs something bigger, now. She starts digging through Hinoki's memories, hunting for any skill that can turn the tide. But as she dives deeper into his mind, her eyes well up. Something is very, very wrong. She has just seen a nightmare. These tears come from the weight of Hinoki's actual past. It is too much. Back from when he was alive, back during the dark era of the towers. Just looking at these memories is enough to push Eva over the edge. Insanity. In the vision, Hinoki cleaves through an entire tower with a single swing. One hit, that is it. Despite that insane power, he changed. He grew cold, detached, every battle took a piece of his soul. Eva can't wrap her head around it. How can a human's skill reach a level this terrifyingly high? It's unfathomable. Hinoki's mind is just a graveyard of destruction and chaos. Bodies severed, monsters slaughtered, the very ocean split in half. Total, absolute carnage. He even wounded the planet itself. The weight of these memories is literally crushing Eva's spirit right now. She is falling apart under the pressure. She is lost. Where does she even go? How can she ever get stronger? The burden of his past is just too much to carry. Her soul starts to crack. It feels like she is about to shatter into a million tiny pieces. Hinoki's spirit just watches, totally relaxed. He actually says her spirit should just go ahead and break. No mercy. But another founder screams a warning. If she breaks now, she will go berserk and slaughter every living thing nearby. And that is exactly what happens. Get ready, it gets ugly. Eva's spirit shatters. She lets out a scream so haunting it can be heard all the way in the city of Takasaki. Talk about power. The force is so intense it triggers an immediate mass evacuation. Move. Residents check their phones only to realize the source of this terrifying aura is him. All the way from Nagano Prefecture, a massive 100 kilometers away. Even with that distance, the shock waves still hit them hard. Panic erupts as people scream that the end is here or some monster has appeared. Back at the fight, Eva's scream echoes through the air. And even the rocks start floating off the ground. This insane aura crushes everyone there, weighing heavy on their shoulders. The weak ones start coughing blood, pinned to the dirt by pure force. Kanagi sees this and yells out for Hinoki. But the spirit is totally chilled out, acting like nothing is happening. He just says he left it to the mage, and she agrees. As Eva walks toward Kanagi, the mage pulls up her sleeve, revealing the mysterious seal of truth on her arm. With absolute confidence, she vows that using Kanagi's body, she will end this with one strike. She triggers the seal, and Kanagi's body starts glowing with massive energy. Seeing this, Akin is left in total shock. The alchemist spirit tells Kanagi and Akin they need to watch this closely. He explains that in magic or alchemy, they are all just hunting for the truth. And right now, Kanagi is about to touch one of those truths. As he talks, the same seals from the mage appear on Kanagi's arms. The alchemist spirit wonders if the boy's body can handle these fragments of truth, or if he will just crumble from the power. Meanwhile, Eva's soul is already broken, and her body is just running on leftover spirit energy. But the body moves on instinct, guided by primal urges like a wild beast. Hinoki, usually so calm and collected, gave up his body to this state ages ago. And that bizarre phenomenon, they call it truth ignorance. As Eva gets angrier, she lets out a massive wave of dark energy. Her aura is twisting and warping the very air around her. The mage sees a future where this power gets so intense that it kills everyone, taking out Kanagi and even people living across the whole continent. In this moment, Eva really is the end of the world. Kanagi realizes how bad this is and sees the danger in that vision. The mage activates her ultimate skill, Magus of Truth, a move built to shut down any target. It is so strong the world can barely hold its power. As Eva charges up dark energy in her arm and swings at Kanagi, he stops the hit without any effort. She is shocked when he grabs her hand. Then, the mage fires off a burning light attack, triggering a massive explosion of light that swallows the entire area. When the dust clears, Eva is nothing but a burnt skeleton, while Kanagi is still holding her hand. The mage says a final, quiet goodbye to Eva as her ashes blow away in the wind. The other founders watch with serious looks, but Hinoki stands up, obviously annoyed that his soul and body are now totally different things. The mage smiles and turns back to Kanagi, asking if what he just saw will help him with his training. Kanagi wakes up back in control. Look at that field, it is totally cleared out. His team is going wild, celebrating like he just won. But Ikika, she looks deeply troubled. Her sword training, apparently totally ignored here. Hinata is just relieved. Meanwhile, Suo is hyped. Kanagi just vaporized a monster in one shot. Akin sees much more. She realizes Kanagi predicted every single move perfectly. Her hands shake. Is this even humanly possible? She feels inspired, vowing to reach that level. The instructor is stressing out. That massive hole in the ground? Yeah, exam over. Even Todoroki is finished. Total headache for the teacher. Now he needs a redo. Suddenly, a glowing circle appears. Everyone is paralyzed. Even the pro. It is the superintendent herself. Kanagi recognizes her. It's that mysterious lady from his consciousness. Her own assistant is baffled by this. But the boss of the entire branch just kneels before Kanagi. Waited hundreds of years for the founders, finally here. The squad looks to Ikika for answers. She simply tells them they should have known. Even if it's their first time. Ikika explains everything. This old lady is a founder, the highest-ranking official in Japan. Suo snaps back. We know who she is already. But why is she kneeling? Even Ikika is stumped. Kanagi, completely lost. Why is she bowing? Even the spirits inside him are confused. They search their memories, but find nothing yet. Suddenly, her massive aura hits Kanagi like lightning. She stands up, watching him closely. Do you remember me? I've aged. Then, she starts shaking her back, calling Hinoki to witness her performing the dance. The founders freeze. Wait, that's Io, it's her. Hinoki takes over and greets her. Everyone is frozen. The guards draw weapons. Disrespecting the superintendent is a death sentence. Furious, they want to kill him and restart the whole test. But Io just keeps dancing, telling everyone to stand down. Hinoki laughs, patting her head. Old granny. Io smiles. He still sounds just like the old days. A short time later, the crew gets to work, fixing the training grounds and pulling themselves together. Deep inside a top-secret hideout known as the Hut of Everlasting Vision, Kanagi is completely blown away by the sight. Io explains she has to keep her face hidden from the world. A barrier stays up around the hut so she can live in peace. Kanagi asks if she knew the founders, and Io begins sharing her past. She was an orphan who lost everyone back during the era of the towers. The founders took her in and raised her themselves. Kanagi is shocked. She was just a little girl back in those days. Then Io mentions that was 300 years ago. He freezes. That means she is over 300 years old. She explains she has been stopping time with an artifact that freezes her age as long as she remains at HQ. Hearing about that artifact, Kanagi suddenly remembers something important. Meanwhile, Hinoki's spirit tells Valentine the artifact works just like her own preservation skill. Valentine nods. Thinking back, she could have done the exact same thing in her prime. But where did she get such power? Io explains that deep within the anti-prophecy group. A secret squad is tasked with hunting artifacts, and they keep their work strictly hidden. However, she reveals their storage facility was recently hit by a major attack. Tons of artifacts were stolen. Now, a special task force including Midori is on the hunt. They are desperate to get those stolen artifacts back. The detective founder inside Kanagi wonders if the 10 apostles did this. It would explain why they are so insanely powerful in the modern world. Kanagi is stunned at how fast the detective put the pieces together. The detective explains that when Io mentioned her boss giving her artifacts, he peeked into her memories and confirmed the truth for himself. Another founder points out, it is easier than recruiting 12 elites stronger than Makoto. The enemy just uses artifacts to turn mediocre fighters into top-tier threats. Hinoki agrees, recalling how the two enemies they fought before were not even close to Makoto. Io adds that they did not even know the 12 apostles existed until the raid. Now, those apostles wield the same terrifying power as their greatest enemy. They are way too dangerous to ignore now. They are trying to find the leader, but it looks like Midori is going to get there first. This hits Kanagi hard. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Michigan, the streets are completely ghost town quiet. In a place that looks like a literal war zone, a wild spell suddenly whips up a tornado, smashing into the pavement with insane force. Right in the middle stands Midori, who just uncovered a massive secret. They assumed there were only 12 apostles, but there is a secret 13th member hiding. Watching through a crystal orb, a man lounging on his couch just smirks. He is impressed Midori showed up way earlier than he thought. With a creepy smile, he casually asks if Midori wants some coffee or tea. Without missing a beat, Midori chooses death, calling him by his real title, Number 0. Midori launches another massive turbulence beam toward the floating Number 0. The blast is so huge that far away, Nishina, another task force member, notices it. Makoto, who is with him, says since the city is empty, they should be fine. But he is confused why Midori is using such an insane attack. As they talk, they suddenly sense a powerful attack coming their way. Just in time, they leap off the building, which is instantly sliced clean in half. The entire structure shatters into a million pieces. Landing on the street, they leave Number 0 to Midori while they focus on handling Kumaragi, one of the 12 apostles. Meanwhile, Midori grows frustrated, unable to pierce the bubble surrounding Number 0. Even after using his strongest wind powers, he wonders if it is a skill or some powerful artifact. Finishing his tea, Number 0 casually steps out of the bubble himself, mocking Midori and asking if he is finally done. Without hesitation, Midori casts his wall of cutting pearls, launching massive attacks toward Number 0 and triggering an explosion. However, to his shock, Number 0 emerges without a scratch, casually comparing himself to a whale among fish in front of Midori. Midori quickly realizes that Number 0 has other ways to defend himself, even without the bubble. Seeing Midori standing there, Number 0 begins to taunt him. He claims that normally, Midori would be so powerful and terrifying that 0 would not even dare to call him an enemy. Yet now, Midori is just grieving his dead friend. To Number 0, this makes him a pathetic creature. He goes on to say that from the moment Midori was born, he was nothing more than a monster designed for battle. Despite being made for war, he still failed to protect his friends. Those words ignite a deep fury within Midori. Enraged, he lunges at Number 0 with overwhelming power. His eyes burn with killing intent as memories of the past flood back. Let's look back at what happened 23 years ago, deep in the mountains. Shinonome, a task force member, stood there in total shock, staring at a brilliant surge of energy erupting from a massive crater. Yelling in disbelief, he realized this was all that remained of the mansion. Superintendent Io is also there, witnessing the remains of the ruins. At the center of the devastation, something emits a tremendous amount of energy. As she steps closer, she finds the source. It is a baby radiating an overwhelming aura. The energy is so intense that the entire disaster was clearly caused by this child being born. Without hesitation, Superintendent Io rushes toward the infant, enduring multiple cuts on her body from the sheer energy pressure. Despite the pain, she pushes forward, finally reaching the child and gently picking the baby up. She whispers words of comfort, assuring him that everything is fine now. Feeling the warmth of Io's embrace, the baby slowly stops crying. As a result, the violent surge of wind around them completely vanishes. We see Io, bruised and bloodied, yet firmly holding the child in her arms. She declares this child will be raised by the anti-prophecy. His name, Midori. 9 years fly by. Midori, now a young boy, prepares to leave the facility. A teacher named Hinoki Kuro, along with 12-year-old Ikika, tries to stop him, warning him not to cause trouble. The man warns Midori that if he actually goes through with this, the anti-prophecy will hunt him down. Unfazed, Midori agrees, but as the master leaves, he cryptically states this was the exact reason he let Kuro live. Ikika, standing nearby, can feel the thick tension in the air. But suddenly she starts laughing. The master, annoyed, asks why she's doing that. See, Midori has always been exceptionally strong, shattering every record and considering everyone else weak. However, one day, he meets Makoto, who casually tosses a wooden stick and asks if he'll be his sparring partner. Midori is just confused. But Makoto simply smiles and holds his sword forward in a silent invitation. At that time, Makoto was the same age as Midori. They begin training together, but Midori is unable to defeat Makoto in sword fighting. It's frustrating, but he keeps trying, constantly asking Makoto to spar one more time. Makoto, wanting Midori to learn a real lesson, fights him again. The result is exactly the same. Midori loses. Frustrated, he yells, "Why can't he win despite trying his absolute hardest?" Nishina, who's also there, reveals that Midori might just be too strong. That could be the reason. Midori doesn't understand, since he keeps losing. Then a voice says it's a compliment. That voice belongs to Makoto, who was 14 back then. Midori keeps snapping every wooden sword he uses against him. So Makoto explains that even if Midori wins, he'll still break his own sword. To prove it, Nishina shows him an egg, explaining that when someone uses full power, it's hard not to break the shell while holding it during a fight. Midori is still lost, so Makoto picks up the egg and throws it hard. However, everyone is shocked to see that despite hitting the ground, the eggshell doesn't crack. Picking it up, Makoto explains he needs to balance his offensive aura with a protective one. It's not a skill, but something that only comes with time and practice. While he's explaining this, Nishina throws every egg at the wall, and not a single one breaks. Midori is amazed, seeing that not a single eggshell has shattered. Makoto hands him an egg. To win against Makoto, he has to adjust his aura. Once he does that, his overwhelming power won't accidentally hurt the people around him anymore. As Makoto leaves, Makoto calls out but gets hit by an egg on the head. He turns around to see Midori, who wants him to join the aura adjustment. Makoto, returning the favor, tells him to apologize for that headshot first. Then he kicks the egg crate and uses his power to make them levitate. Midori tries the same, but the eggs just shatter and explode all around him. After some effort, Midori finally pierces the wall with an egg without even cracking the shell. The two of them begin training in swordsmanship. And now that Midori has mastered his aura control, they can spend entire days clashing and trading heavy blows. Watching this, Nishina and Makoto get fired up and challenge him next. 4 years pass. Midori joins the special task force while Makoto starts his own journey. Midori heads toward the European branch to investigate a high-rank prophecy called the Pandemonium. Midori then asks if Makoto is still searching for a master to train him. Makoto confirms it, remembering Midori's advice about finding a master on his own path. Makoto raises his fist, declaring that he wants to finally stand as an equal. With a smile, Midori fist bumps him, promising that he will be waiting for him. From then on, Midori does everything for his friends, as long as they are alive. He has the determination to keep pushing forward for their sake, no matter what. He just wanted friends, but the 12 apostles took that all away. Returning to the present, Midori charges at number 0 with pure killing intent, while the guy just stands there. But, just as he strikes, number 0 breaks a golden egg artifact right in front of him. It triggers a Berserk Life Stampede spell, creating a massive sunlight glow between them. Other task force members notice the blast and wonder if Midori caused it. As the light fades, Midori emerges from the smoke, radiating a strange and terrifying aura. Seeing him, Makoto asks if he has finally managed to defeat number 0. However, Midori doesn't say a single word. They call his name, but to their horror, Midori claims he doesn't know them. Nishina realizes something is wrong and screams for Makoto to back away right now. But it's too late. Midori grabs Makoto's forehead with a twisted and evil smile. He unleashes a turbulent spell, whipping up a violent and deadly whirlwind. After the 3 members from the Japanese branch vanish into thin air, another special task force from the USA, including Marquis and Ashton, is sent in to investigate the disappearance. Upon arrival, Ashton touches the ground and senses the lingering energy is incredibly intense, This was clearly the ground zero of a massive explosion. Marquis is stunned by the crater Midori left behind. Now he knows why he's called the strongest. Still, he's confused why someone as powerful as Midori would suddenly vanish along with his team. Ashton has no explanation for where they could have gone. News of Midori's disappearance reaches the Japanese branch, sending the whole place into chaos. At the Everlasting Vision Hut, the assistant superintendent is trembling, unable to believe the reports coming in. Io is just as worried, asking if there is really no sign of Midori. She questions Midori's assistant, Rin, for any kind of lead. But even Rin is unaware that the artifact connecting her to Midori has been shattered. As they discuss the crisis, Kanagi finally arrives. He is officially a squad captain now, wearing that iconic captain cape. He is actually feeling pretty embarrassed about this sudden new role. But the assistant superintendent explains that every single squad captain and the big boss themselves personally recommended him for the job. Kanagi even stood against Eva. Now, everyone truly believes he is the only warrior capable of filling the massive void Makoto left behind. Kneeling down, Kanagi remembers his promise to surpass the founders quickly and ensure that nobody else dies under his watch. He thanks them for their trust, carrying the heavy legacy of the founders on his shoulders. He confidently vows that he will do everything to live up to the anti-prophecy expectations. Hearing this, Io gets hyped, shouting that she always knew he was the perfect choice to lead a squad. But she suddenly turns deadly serious, cutting straight to the chase about a major issue that needs his attention. Just recently, Kanagi, who had been hunting for new members to recruit into his brand new squad, now sits right in front of the superintendent, who wants to hear his professional take. Things are moving fast. When Io summons a door marked with a tiger, Kanagi is caught totally off guard. As the door creaks open, Io introduces two special task force members, Nishina and Makoto, into the room. And both of them look absolutely thrashed. Io reveals they served on Midori team and are the only witnesses left who know what really went down. Makoto starts explaining that back in Detroit, the leader of the 12 Apostles hijacked Midori body. Kanagi is left completely frozen by the news. Makoto adds that the power used to control Midori feels exactly like the ability Eva used on them before. He suspects an artifact is behind it, though he is not sure. But the artifact itself does not matter right now. The real tragedy, as Makoto points out, is that Midori, their friend and former protector, has become an enemy of all humanity. This nightmare reality hits Kanagi like a ton of bricks. Midori fought the control with everything he had, just to give Nishina and Makoto a chance to run. Before losing himself, Midori apologized and left behind one last, desperate request. He begged Kanagi to take down number 0 for him. Hearing that, Kanagi stands there speechless, crushed by the sheer weight of his friend's final words. The assistant superintendent puts a hand on his shoulder, showing how much he is counting on him. But he reminds Kanagi that he is still short of the 7 members required to officially lead a squad. Right now, he only has Hanada, Akin, and Sue. That means he needs to find 3 more members fast. This recruitment mission is now his top priority, starting immediately. Knowing the clock is ticking to fill his squad roster, Kanagi bolts out to hunt down some strong candidates. He spots a kid from the Hibiki squad and starts chasing him, begging the boy to join up. But the kid is terrified, running around in a complete and total panic, screaming that he will never, ever leave the Hibiki squad for anyone else. Just as he thinks he is free, he runs smack into Akin, who is just standing there with a permission letter signed by Hibiki himself. Game over. He's completely stunned. He can't believe Captain Hibiki is actually letting him leave the squad. But after reading that letter, his disbelief turns to total shock. It's genuine. With 0 choice left, he reluctantly agrees to join Kanagi's squad. Just like that, Kanagi and Akin have officially secured their 4th member. Meanwhile, I see Hanada trying to recruit Sakazaki, using a very unconventional method. He starts this bizarre exaggerated leg-stomping dance. Sakazaki just watches him, feeling totally weirded out. Hinata claims it's an order from the captain. He wants Sakazaki on their team. But Sakazaki isn't interested and refuses him outright. He's aiming for the captain's exam now that Todoroki's death left a spot open. Hinata isn't backing down, though. He suddenly launches a powerful kick toward Sakazaki to test his reflexes. Surprisingly, Sakazaki dodges it effortlessly, showing off some truly unique evasion skills. Hinata is impressed, but he keeps pushing for an answer. Now intrigued, Sakazaki sets a challenge. He'll join, but only on one condition. Hinata has 60 seconds in the courtyard to land just one single touch. If he pulls it off, Sakazaki will gladly join their team. Hinata asks if anything goes, and Sakazaki gives him the green light. Immediately, he summons a glowing dragon aura that swirls right around him. Ready for the challenge, Sakazaki starts the timer on his laptop. Deep inside a limestone cave, you and I find the Anti-Prophecy Unit headquarters. Sakazaki is there to meet with Captain Surosaki. He's literally fishing in a 17th-dimensional crack they call the Underjaw. Surosaki reveals that he actually catches some pretty big fish there. He spots Sakazaki and asks if he's applying for Todoroki's old squad position. Sakazaki says yes, but adds he wants to be a captain who survives. Surosaki just looks at him and says he can reach that goal without ever even becoming a captain. Sakazaki is stunned. Does the captain think he's just not suitable? Reeling in a monster shark, Surosaki says Sakazaki is still lacking something. Back in the present, Hinata is charging in, while Sakazaki does everything to avoid getting touched. He gets inches away, but Hinata hasn't touched him even once yet. Hinata is blown away, realizing Sakazaki is using some kind of crazy evasive skill. It's called Omni-Egos, a secret skill Sakazaki's been hiding for a long time. This Omni-Ego allows him to teleport anywhere within a 100-meter range. The only catch is he needs to have visited the location at least once. Once it's set, he can teleport there with insane speed and precision. Even with Hinata throwing blow after blow, Sakazaki dodges every strike. This is a huge challenge, but Hinata takes it as practice. He knows he'll eventually have to face off against Midori in the future. As he teleports and evades, Sakazaki asks Hinata what he actually sees in a leader like Kanagi. Still attacking, Hinata admits he doesn't really know anything specific yet. He launches a flying kick toward Sakazaki, admitting he understands Akihina's obsession with safety, aiming for just a 1% survival boost. Hinata respects that, but he refuses to trust a leader who obsesses over survival. Placing safety above the mission itself, that is just not his style. Sakazaki is clearly annoyed. But Hinata argues that being self-absorbed means never truly reaching the goals you were meant to achieve. As he speaks, a grim memory surfaces of his own family. Bodies everywhere, all victims of a dark prophecy. That nightmare fueled his burning desire to tear every prophecy down. Driven by that, he realized Kanagi is the only one capable of it, which is exactly why he pledged his loyalty. Sakazaki finally sees his flaw, what it truly takes to lead. The power to be someone others rely on. Dodging skillfully, he knows victory is close and hopes to use these words as a reference in the future. 5 seconds left on the clock. Hinata starts texting, casually mentioning that someone is arriving exactly on time. Suddenly, Suo unleashes his Chunjula spell alongside Skyfall strikes, absolutely obliterating the entire courtyard where they were just standing. This move completely kills Sakazaki's teleportation ability. And Hinata goes for it. He dives off the building, delivering a flash kick that tears a piece of Sakazaki's uniform. Time runs out, but that tiny scrap counts as a touch. Hinata takes the win. Boom! He lands as Suo asks if wrecking the whole place was actually necessary. Hinata just shrugs it off, thanking Suo, while a furious Sakazaki seethes in the back. But after checking his laptop, he cools down and agrees to join Kanagi's squad. With that decided, Hinata and Suo celebrate while Kanagi and Akin drag in a chained-up new member named Uryu. Kannagi sees the ruined courtyard and is basically in shock. But Sue is not worried. He is leaving the apology letter for the damage to Kannagi. Hanada tries to play peacemaker, suggesting Rin could probably fix the courtyard up. But the real issue is they still need one more member for the team. Akin is stumped and asks if Kannagi has anyone in mind. Kannagi gestures toward the special task force, revealing that he has already recruited Ikika and Nishina to fill the remaining spots. From this moment on, they are officially his subordinates, fighting in his elite squad. Meanwhile, high up in the watchtower, the remaining 12 apostles of the apocalypse are holding a secret meeting. Only 5 remain, but they are confident because they hold the ultimate weapon, Midori's physical body. In their eyes, they are one step closer to destroying the anti-prophecy unit forever. Number 0 reminds the group of their mission. Everything they do is to ensure prophecy finally emerges in this world. Deep inside the prophecy research room of the anti-prophecy unit, the assistant superintendent asks the director if the items were recovered. The director confirms, revealing that the dreaded Book of Doom, once held by the 12 apostles, is actually a single book torn apart, based on the 8 Midori brought. They've confirmed it. This recent disaster is straight out of the prophecy. Specifically, it involves that high-tier rank known as Bhagavad Gita. To destroy the world, the 12 apostles need Midori's power, and his strength alone is more than enough. Meanwhile, high above the sea, Midori and an apostle named Hajime are soaring toward a mysterious, unknown destination. Suddenly, Midori asks if Hajime has read the Gita. Hajime just shakes his head. Midori explains it's an ancient scripture from the Hindu tradition, teaching that humans must do their duty with a selfless heart. In his view, whoever scripted a prophecy like this one must have harbored an incredibly deep hatred for all of humanity. As they glide over the bright lights of Times Square, a family spots them, and a kid screams, recognizing Midori as the world's strongest Awakener. The crowd erupts, everyone cheering and desperately trying to snap a photo. They notice Hajime too, calling him a real-life samurai. Excitement hits a fever pitch as the city celebrates their supposed heroes. That's when Midori cold-bloodedly tells Hajime to start the mission. Without a second thought, Midori starts channeling a massive energy orb while the crowd keeps cheering, totally oblivious to what's coming. A father snaps a picture of his son, with Midori floating in the background. Suddenly, Midori fires the energy ball upward, and the entire sky is swallowed whole. The orb twists into a massive, terrifying tornado. And inside the chaos, the real Midori desperately yells at Number 0 to stop. But it's over. Number 0 has already cast the devastating turbulent spell on them. At the cafeteria, Kannagi is busy lecturing when Sue rushes toward him, urgently showing him something terrifying on his mobile. It's breaking news. New York City is literally burning because of Midori's sudden attack. Reports claim a rogue Awakener just leveled the entire city in seconds. Meanwhile, at the Everlasting Hut, the American branch superintendent, Vice, is screaming at Io to do something, enraged that Midori just wiped a whole city off the map. Io tries to calm him down, but this tragedy has already taken countless lives in the heart of New York. She drops a bombshell. It wasn't actually Midori who caused this destruction, but the work of the Apostles' leader, who is currently controlling his body. She explains that they have identified the man as Warren Hastings, a mysterious figure from England. Io theorizes that he might be collaborating with invaders from another dimension. Vice is left completely shocked by the news, while Io discloses that the 12 apostles are using powerful artifacts that evade all of their current supervision. According to her, someone or something powerful is backing them. Vice doesn't care. He says the responsibility still falls squarely on Io, since the man who leveled the city came from her elite task force. He warns her the White House is already considering nuclear weapons against Midori. However, Vice knows that even nuclear weapons will have no effect on Midori and demands to know her next move. Back at the cafeteria, Kannagi asks Suo if he finished Lesson 15 along with all the other students. Suo confirms, and to his shock, Kannagi officially appoints him as the vice captain of the Kannagi squad. All right, let's get into it. He orders Suo to keep everyone training until the deployment orders arrive. He notes that Uryu and Sakazaki are always bickering. They have to master teamwork to reach perfection. Suo can't help but ask what Kannagi plans to do with his own spare time. Kannagi reveals his plan is simple. He's going to sleep, and it will be a deep one. He gives Suo a direct command: do not let anyone wake him up. Since it comes straight from his leader, Suo accepts the order without hesitation. He is placing all his trust in him. At the Everlasting Hut, Io plans a direct strike on Midori using their strongest elite unit. Back at headquarters, Kannagi hits his room and passes out instantly, but inside his dreams. He draws his sword to train with Hinoki, while the other founders stand ready to teach. But to Kannagi's absolute shock, Hinoki literally slashes him into pieces in one single, blinding flash. He regenerates instantly, only for Hinoki to tear him apart all over again. Hinoki reminds him that he was the one who asked for no mercy. Now, he'll devour him. With those words, he charges at Kannagi with every bit of his power. Another founder tries to step in, but the Wanakame mage stops him cold. The others argue that, while short-term training can be extreme, Kannagi is dying way too often. His very soul might just fall apart soon. Yet they know Midori is the strongest Awakener alive. The current Kannagi stands zero chance. This training is pure desperation, but it is honestly their only path to victory. The founder warns that even Kannagi must have a limit to what he can endure. But the alchemist tells her there is no reason to worry at all. Kannagi is definitely not a delicate man. Mage watches Kannagi get sliced apart repeatedly, yet still believes he will overcome this nightmare. Kannagi apologizes to Hinoki. Just standing before him feels like a crushing weight. It feels like being trapped in a deadly blizzard on a frozen mountain peak. Catching his breath, Kannagi stands his ground again, only to be sliced in half instantly. But to his surprise, he actually manages to cut a single hair from Hinoki's head. Before, he couldn't even get close, but now, he finally made a mark. Even after being killed repeatedly. Kannagi refuses to quit. He rises again. Meanwhile, over in Mumbai at the gateway of India, Aridub from the Anti-Prophecy Indian branch gets hyped the moment he sees Midori. He reminds Midori that without him, that special rank prophecy boss would have burned Mumbai to a crisp. Smiling, he asks if after saving the city together once before, Midori is really here to destroy it now. Midori brushes him off. It is his body, sure, but Number Zero is the one in control. Mocking Aridub, Number Zero laughs at the thought of Midori ever taking back control. Just to toy with him, he projects Midori's trapped thoughts aloud. It's Midori's own voice, apologizing and begging Aridub to run. But Aridub won't run. This is his home, and he'll fight until his last breath. Back at the Everlasting Hut, Io explains the 100-year war between humans and interdimensional beings to the assistants. Back in the Founders' era, first came the Tower, then the Crack, and finally those dark prophecies. Across centuries of conflict, there have always been traitors ready to help these monsters tear the world apart. While Io explains, an assistant watches the news of India falling and starts panicking, realizing the enemy's forces are now charging straight toward Europe. Io saw this coming, but honestly, she wished they had just come for Japan first. The assistant naturally asks why. Because Number Zero just recently hijacked Midori's body, she explains, pointing out the weakness. He shouldn't be able to tap into its full potential quite yet. Turning to her assistant Tengen, Io drops the news. He is heading to the battlefield too. Tengen jokes that he is usually just their heavy lifter when things are actually peaceful. But the real curveball hits when Io announces she is joining the front lines herself. Elsewhere, the Kannagi squad gears up. They are their one real shot at taking Midori down. But until they are ready, Io needs the other squads to buy some time. Hibiki and the captains look visibly stressed, tension rising. They ask for a timeline, and Io delivers the truth. Kannagi needs 2 days. Their next stop, the Pacific Ocean, where the final stand begins. There, the whole Japanese anti-prophecy branch gathers, ready to face Midori head-on in epic combat. As Midori charges, he unleashes a massive turbulence spell right at the heart of the group. Except, Io's own defense spell shuts it down instantly, not even a scratch. Midori is stunned. Io just smirks, telling him not to make the mistake of underestimating them. Jumping back a bit, as the captains were preparing to head out, Hisagi and her team begged their captain to let them join the fight against the Apostles' leader. The captain says no. But Hisagi, eyes welling up, insists that even if they aren't the strongest ones there, they can at least act as shields to keep the captain safe. The captain and the others turn back to ask if they truly get why they're fighting this impossible war. He admits they probably aren't coming back from this suicidal mission, because the power levels are simply incomparable. But they're doing it so their subordinates can survive and keep the flame alive. They are putting everything on their students, trusting them to take up the mantle of protecting the world. With those heavy words, the captains walk away, leaving them behind. Some burst into tears, while others finally find their true resolve. They are determined to guard the Kannagi squad until their training is finished. Their eyes are full of pain, but they know. They've got to act now instead of just shedding tears. They need to move fast. The captains and assistants mobilize. Teleporting right to the ocean, they finally stand toe-to-toe with the monster, Midori. As Io easily brushes off Midori's attack, the other captains are absolutely stunned by her power. Even Midori is thrown off by this mysterious, overwhelming strength. Number 0 starts digging through Midori's memories for answers. He recognizes Io, the superintendent of the anti-prophecy branch. Midori's old mother figure, a woman who has kept her real power secret until now. Now Io stands before him. Io declares that this is the first time in a century she has unleashed her skills on a battlefield. Not a single captain present has ever seen her go all out like this before. But now, before their very eyes, she finally activates her 8 outer mirror spell. This technique has 2 phases. First, Io can completely nullify any ability she understands. That grants her a perfect defense rate. This ability acts as the ultimate countermeasure. It pairs perfectly with her elite analytical skills. Midori wastes no time, launching a storm of blazing tornadoes right at Io's position. Seeing them, the captains realize this is the spell that once reduced all of India to ash. Luckily, Io knows this trick and easily deflects the whole thing. The second stage allows her to copy any ability once she has reflected it. She sends her own tornadoes back, colliding with Midori's and wiping them out completely. Midori gets serious, quickly figuring out exactly how her mirror magic works. But he's getting annoyed. He can sense a side attack coming his way. One of the captains launches his infinite fist attack. He bombards Midori with a massive barrage of punches, making his entire body feel numb. But even after 1,000 hits, the captain is shocked to see Midori is totally fine. Suddenly, he grabs Midori midair, telling the others to attack while he's held. Hibiki instantly activates her sound visualization release phoenix. The other captains follow up, slamming Midori with their strongest abilities at once. However, Midori counters them with his wall of cutting pearl, unleashing a massive blast of tornadoes that crashes into everyone. He emerges unscathed, mocking Io for bringing such weaklings to a real fight. But just as he speaks, he feels a terrifying aura above him. Looking up, he sees the assistant summoning a massive energy ball as big as the sun. Midori realizes this move gets way stronger the longer she charges it. He tries to summon his own sphere to counter her attack. But the female assistant uses her artifact slave maker spell to shackle his hands. He didn't expect them to be so aware. He can't cast his spells. Meanwhile, the male assistant finishes charging and hurls the massive fiery sphere at him. Midori watches it close in, knowing he has no way to dodge. However, if he fires his strongest wind attack at the very last second, he might just survive the impact. But as he prepares to act, he notices another identical fireball coming from the other side. It was created by Io using her mirror spell. The lady raises her arms toward Midori, declaring that for the sake of everyone's future, he must die. He's trapped and curses her. Someone is watching all of this from afar using binoculars. The two spheres collide, causing a massive and sinister explosion. Like a massive atomic bomb, a mushroom cloud towers into the sky, and the explosion swallows the landscape. The soldier using the binoculars begins to worry about the situation. He lowers them. A massive aircraft carrier and fleet are moving in fast on their objective. Stunned, a soldier tells the rest of the crew to check out the situation. That blinding white light has to be at least several thousand degrees hot. He doubts anyone could possibly survive that, whether they are friend or foe. Gesturing to the monitor, he is convinced that the blast finished the job. A stern-looking man watches the screen with his arms crossed tight. This is Mr. Richard. Coldly, he warns them that it is far from over. Deep in the ocean, that energy begins to pulse with a violet star at the center. Look closer, there is actually a silhouette of a man standing right in the middle. The blonde guy with long hair looks on in total disbelief. It is impossible. How could anyone walk away from an explosion of that massive scale? Midori clutches his head, his expression a mix of shock and rage. He wonders if they really sacrificed their own soldiers just to take him out. Honestly, he is impressed they actually managed to catch him off guard like that. Their little plan was elaborate, and that explosive hit was clean, but they have no idea what is coming for them next. He gnashes his teeth, barely able to hold back the fury inside his chest. And then he screams. He roars at them to look. He is standing there completely unharmed. Midori spreads his arms wide. A 1,000-degree fireball hit him, and he doesn't have a single scratch. But while Midori is busy bragging about his survival, a red crosshair locks right onto his position. Suddenly, a squadron of planes descends from the clouds, shredding him with a hail of direct gunfire. Missiles follow suit, launched from every carrier and jet in the area. Pilots are getting hurt, and the military starts feeling the weight of their losses. The sea is churning from the carnage, looking more violent than any hurricane. A massive shockwave hits like a tidal wave. The aircraft carrier nearly capsizes, while planes start falling out of the sky. Amidst the chaos of death and fire, the boy just laughs in a state of pure, dark euphoria. That is when another massive warship begins to close in. Mr. Richard barks an order for Marquis to execute the next phase. A golden aura flares up around him, wrapping the entire ship in a protective barrier. It is not enough. The shield immediately starts to crack under the pressure. Marcus is terrified. Even from this far away, he can barely withstand the power. He realizes the horrifying truth about this level of energy. If this monster wanted to, he could probably wipe the entire world away. Mr. Richard clenches his fist, his composure finally starting to slip. But he refuses to back down. They cannot give up this fight, no matter what happens next. Suddenly, Midori feels a wave of dizziness and grabs at his face. Phantom voices begin to echo in his head, mocking him for burning through all his energy so fast. He finds himself standing before a mysterious presence. A lady with white hair asks if he has finally hit his limit. She holds an empty vial, addressing the boy as number 0. Elsewhere, we see a humble little house where a small group of people has gathered together. Setsuna asks the big question, do they even have a chance? The blonde man with glasses tells her to keep it together, but she isn't interested in sugarcoating the truth anymore. The kid is getting annoyed. But the old lady warns him, victory is basically impossible right now. Setsuna wonders how Io plans to stop this monster. Simple, winning the fight isn't the only way to get what they want. To pull this off, they are pulling out a secret ancient artifact. She holds up a vial of glowing liquid. This is the sand last cage, and Midori is officially trapped inside. He stares at the bars, a strange sense of familiarity washing over him. Io bets he remembers it. It's the same relic he once handed off to his henchmen. Flashbacks hit number 0 hard. He's definitely seen this cage somewhere before. It belonged to the man who lost his arm during that one incident. He never imagined another one of these things even existed. Still, he keeps his cool, acting like it doesn't matter. Breaking this cage would require an insane amount of aura, more than most could handle. And since his power is drained, escape should be totally impossible. His expression turns dark. Number 0 glares at the woman. You can practically feel the pure hatred in his eyes. A cold smile creeps across his face. Is this just some pathetic attempt to buy time? He's confused. Trapping him for a few minutes won't change the final outcome. The lady stays calm. He wouldn't be talking so big if he knew her real plan. He has no clue what's about to hit. Io tells him to wait a few days. He's about to witness something truly special. Touching his chin, Number 0 asks if she really thinks he's that blind to their plan. Does this have something to do with a boy named Kanagi Minato? Io freezes. Hearing that name sends a massive shock through her. He points at himself. Number 0 admits he spent his time fishing through the memories in her brain. He knows exactly what Midori Ikehara thinks of the kid. Apparently, this boy is the one destined to end all prophecies. Her eyes go wide. She can't believe Midori said that about Kanagi. She's genuinely impressed. Number 0 declares that the moment he took over, Kanagi became his number 1 target. He clenches his fist, spitting out those words about the boy, ending every prophecy with pure spite. With an outraged look, he asks if they should really allow this. Kanagi needs to be taken down at any cost. Io's face hardens as she curses the blonde man under her breath. But he isn't finished talking yet, not even close. She's startled as violet energy begins swirling violently inside the cage. Number 0 tells her she doesn't even know the half of it. Even as they speak, Midori Ikehara is getting stronger by the second. Panic sets in. The woman realizes the aura he used so far is actually nothing compared to the true power still hiding in his body. Everything they've done up to now, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The more Number 0 fights, the more Midori's body evolves, granting him even more massive amounts of aura. Suddenly, yellow energy erupts from Io's body. The Yata mirror is activating. But she's too slow. A heavy blow connects before she can even move a muscle. Number 0's hand pierces through her body. Behind them, the cage shatters into 1,000 tiny pieces. Io had 0 chance to protect herself. The strike landed directly on a vital point. With his opponent finished, Number 0 starts wondering exactly which way Japan is. As that battle raged on, our main character was fast asleep, unaware that the mark on his hand had begun to glow intensely. Now, get this. The Japanese headquarters tried everything to lock Midori down, but it all ended in total disaster. Number 0 eventually figured out how to unleash an incredible amount of aura through Midori's physical vessel. A massive vortex of purple energy starts swirling, so powerful it is actually visible from Earth's orbit. Leonis's power has reached a whole new level. Back in Japan, Suo and Ikika are busy training when he suddenly senses a massive wave of dark aura closing in. Ikika scratches her head, realizing their plan must have completely failed. Midori finishes training, and they decide it's finally time to head back to headquarters. Awakens is in the heat of her own battle, but even she can feel that strange energy. The students at the academy are growing restless and terrified about what is going on. Ikika tells them to get ready for a fight, while Suo is already reaching for his blade. Over at headquarters, deep inside the high-tech monitoring room, Rin is sounding desperate, asking if the footage from the American fleet has finally come through yet. Her assistant frantically checks the screens and reports that the American fleet was almost entirely destroyed by the enemy. She immediately demands to see the latest satellite imagery. Rin is absolutely terrified. She can't deploy Raven Eyes over the ocean, leaving her wondering if Io's team is even still alive. Suddenly, a group of people appears behind her and desperately calls out her name. She spins around, crying out for Shiki with a voice full of pure concern. The whole group is badly hurt. There are many wounded, and Satsuna shouts that they need her healing techniques immediately. Rin rushes over to them, running as fast as she possibly can. Her face drops as panic sets in. She realizes Commissioner Io is unconscious and in terrible shape. With tears streaming down her face, Shiki explains that the situation is incredibly critical. Looking at Io, you can clearly see that the life is unfortunately already fading from her broken body. Thinking back, Superintendent Io once told Shiki to listen very carefully. She warned her that everyone's survival on the mission would rest entirely on her shoulders. After reviewing the full plan one more time, she explained she needed the girl to distract the enemy while she and Tengen launched the heavenly descent. Shiki bowed respectfully and promised she would lay down her life to make sure it happened. But before she could finish that sentence, a sudden slap to the head caught her completely off guard. A frustrated Io called her a total fool who got it all wrong. She had misunderstood the point entirely. She needs to stay alive to bring everyone back home safely. She made sure Shiki understood that her own survival was the top priority, regardless of what happened to Io. Refusing to accept that, the white-haired girl tried to argue back. But Io shot her a look so terrifying it would silence even the most stubborn warrior in the world. With tears welling in her eyes, Shiki tries to find the words, her voice trembling with emotion. She thinks back to when she was just a little kid and Io looked after all of them. She whispers that she doesn't want to lose her. The girl remembers that reassuring smile. Back then, everything felt so much safer for her. She remembers the gentle touch on her head, a promise that things would be okay. A vow that she would not let a single person die that day. Io had smiled, saying saving lives was the entire point of this dangerous mission. But now that smile is gone. We see the lady hooked to an oxygen mask, barely alive. The group scrambles. They have to heal her before it is too late. Shiki screams for her leader not to leave them now. She pressures Rin to work faster, but saving someone in this state is a complicated task. That time-stopping artifact is messing everything up, making her healing powers practically useless. The long-haired woman tries every trick in her arsenal to help. But she admits she can only keep the lady stable for now. There is a catch. That time-stop effect only works while Io stays inside headquarters. Moving her is an option, but her condition is so critical she might not survive. Suddenly, a massive blast cuts their conversation short. Tengen and Shiki are completely caught off guard. Tengen looks up. The nightmare has officially arrived at their doorstep. High above, a mysterious figure in a turban watches the chaos unfold from the shadows. He is accompanied by 3 other people. And then there is number 0, wearing a truly terrifying grin. Shiki's eyes flare with pure rage. She vows to wipe every last one of those bastards out. Rin tries to stop her, but it is useless. Before anyone can react, she is gone, reappearing right in the middle of those monsters outside the building. Fueled by hate, she claps her hands to trigger her spatial division ability. Her power instantly bridges the gaps in different spaces. It allows her to teleport with pinpoint accuracy, but there is a major risk. In wide-open spaces, the power becomes wild and unpredictable, threatening to tear the very fabric of reality apart. The world itself begins to distort. Tengen is furious at her recklessness. The commissioner is still inside and could be hit. Number 0 just watches, intrigued by the girl who just crashed the party. He gives the signal to Hajime, who has already charged up his attack. Blade in hand, he activates the artifact relic of the abyss. He grips the hilt tight, preparing to draw with lethal force. One swing, he slices space itself, unleashing the devastating light of the Kulika strike. Shiki's eyes widen. She never saw a blow coming this fast. The area shatters like glass, sending razor-sharp shards flying through the air. The impact tears through the girl's arm, blood spraying everywhere. The woman in red laughs, calling Hajime relentless. She almost feels bad for the heroes, almost. But Hajime does not relax. He stays in his stance, telling his team to stay sharp. The swordsman scans the area with suspicious, sharp eyes. He knows they are not defeated yet. There, he spots Shiki in the rubble. She is badly hurt. But her allies have finally caught up. Suo catches her, checking if she is still breathing. Even bleeding, the white-haired girl is focused. She asks about the Kanagi unit. Number 0 sighs as even more reinforcements show up. He is getting really tired of swatting away these annoying little flies. Special Agent Ikika Hinoki grips her hilt, ready to unleash her blade in one clean motion. Her enemies watch every move as a raw, surging energy begins to radiate from her body. She offers a mock apology, calling her captain a total sleepyhead before closing the distance. So, until that man finally wakes up, she will gladly be their only opponent. Number 0 scowls, clearly disgusted by the girl's bold and arrogant claim. From his high horse, Number 0 watches their desperate movements, finding the whole thing incredibly strange. He gets why Makoto's brother and Ikika are standing their ground against him. His cold eyes sweep across the battlefield, meticulously analyzing every single opponent. He locks onto Uryu and Sakazaki, baffled why they would even dare to challenge him. Midori's stored memories contain absolutely zero data on these two random kids. To him, they are nothing but minor flies. He simply cannot fathom why they would throw their lives away just to save someone so far above their league. Uryu meets his cold stare with a suspicious, knowing little grin. A strange unease washes over Number 0 as the boy's aura begins to burn with intense light. Number 0 steps ahead of his allies, reaching his hand out toward the two brave fighters. He triggers his turbulence ability, and poof, they vanish in the blink of an eye. Shiki. Trapped on the ground and wounded, she screams out, desperate to understand what just happened. But her teammates and the disciples have vanished into thin air. Could this be a teleportation trick? And more importantly, who was responsible? Uryu is absolutely buzzing, striking a dramatic pose and asking how he looks. Suddenly, Sakazaki pops back into view, coolly explaining that he sent them elsewhere. Clutching a first aid kit, he reveals that his own ability handled the teleportation. Shiki is stunned by the kid's technique, demanding to know how he pulled that off. The two start bickering instantly, because Uryu insists he played a massive part too. It was a team effort, now Shiki just wants a real explanation. Essentially, they combined the My Sweet Home and Extended Self abilities into one. See, Uryu's power boosts the range of anyone he is currently making contact with. Normally, Sakazaki's teleport only works on himself, but with some extra help. It became possible to warp every single person standing near him in that moment. He might not have Shiki's massive range, but he can teleport any target he wants. Hajime was warped near Ikika. He readies himself for battle. Sakazaki's plan was to split everyone up for a fair fight. Now, only the three of them remain on the field. While the rest of the team prepares for their bouts, the white-haired girl is shocked by the plan. Sakazaki adds a smug little note. He sent Number 0 to a very special place just for him. We find Number 0 floating in a bizarre void, surrounded by some kind of thick, crimson liquid. He is totally disoriented, unable to tell which way is up or where he even is. But something strange catches his eye. A pack of terrifying sea monsters suddenly drifts into his line of sight. Shifting sharks, octopuses, and demonic fish swarm in. They are closing in fast for an underwater ambush. A uniformed man grips his sword while staring out over a mysterious, still lake. He knows Number 0 is trapped in the limestone cavern deep within the headquarters now. Specifically, inside the 17th rift, known as Shimanahito. You and I are looking at the rift, a passage to another dimension that grows 4 inches every year with no way to stop it. Even a genius like Midori couldn't find a solution to this grim prophecy. So, they're going to watch how Number 0 handles being locked away in that void. Over on Mount Nagano in Midake, Hajime and Ikika face off. The white-haired swordsman looks around, completely lost as to how he ended up here. He wonders if he was just teleported. Ikika can't help herself and starts laughing at his confusion. She walks toward the young man, gloating that their divide-and-conquer strategy worked exactly as they hoped. Hajime demands to know what they did to his boss, but she just says they sent him somewhere he'll never escape. Gripping the sheath of his sword tightly, the young man argues that if they were so confident, they should have sent the whole group there. Ikika waves him off, calling him a fool. One escape artifact could have ruined everything, and they couldn't risk having him return to threaten the commissioner's lady. They needed to be absolutely certain he was gone forever, because nothing can be allowed to happen to that important woman. Maybe the boss had an artifact too, but regardless, she loved the idea of picking off as many of his subordinates as possible. Hajime begins to charge his energy, asking the girl if she really thinks she can take him down. Smirking, the woman tells him it will be like taking candy from a baby, since only their boss was dangerous. Without their fancy artifacts, the rest of them are nothing but trash. Ikika's words send the young man into a blind rage. He scowls and moves with incredible speed, unleashing his Kirakara strike, which carves through the air with multiple beams of pure light. Several beams seem to pierce Ikika's body, but suddenly, her eyes begin to glow a deep red. Cherry blossoms swirl in her eyes as she activates her special Dawn Solitude ability. Her eyes are now shining like bright neon beacons. Dawn Solitude is Ikika's innate technique, an ability she has possessed since she was born. On the surface, this power seems simple and was called useless for years, but there is a hidden depth that people often miss. It blocks all outside distractions, letting Ikika push her mind and body past their normal limits. She continues her fluid movements, eyes still glowing like intense pink spotlights. Basically, it gives her 100% focus in any situation, no matter the chaos or the enemy she's facing. She can channel every ounce of her power into a single, devastating killing blow. She closes the distance as the world turns black. Only that eerie pink glow remains visible. She delivers a single slash across Hajime's chest, a strike fueled by total focus. This one hit is powerful enough to send him flying back, leaving the young man completely unbalanced and broken. Her attack is finished. Transcendents, who master martial arts, spend years perfecting their physical forms, so they realize just how valuable a perfectly conditioned body like hers really is in combat. With a cold, superior expression, she tells him he's not even worth comparing to Makoto. Meanwhile, back at the headquarters practice area, two heroes and two villains are squared off for a massive confrontation. Looking on with a smug grin, the girl in the red hat named Sita says a 2-on-2 fight won't change the outcome. The warriors from headquarters don't look scared at all by her arrogant words. Sita turns to Asura and asks what the plan is now. Rain starts pouring down on the location, soaking every warrior to the bone. His eyes drift shut, wearing a mask of pure sorrow. He claims he can handle them if she holds them back, but a fist is already inches from his face. Boom, the punch connects, sending Asura flying through the air from the sheer impact. Midori sneers, asking if he really thought they would just sit and be trampled. Sita watches the white-haired warrior charge, but she is distracted. Suddenly, her opponent's long hair snags her. Flashbacks of his childhood start flooding back to him. Makoto gently cutting his hair, and then eyes filled with hatred. He demands to know, is she one of the bastards who murdered Makoto? Almost completely cocooned by the boy's hair, she whispers that she finally understands. With a chilling smile, she asks if he is still holding a grudge over that. Scarlet lightning streaks across the sky, turning the world a deep, dark red. Our two heroes scramble to dodge the bolts that seem to be hunting them down. Looking totally manic and surrounded by a deck of playing cards, Sai erupts in laughter, eyes wide. She triggers her Queen of Hearts ability, and her cards sprout arms and legs. The long-haired man realizes something. This power, it looks like some form of telekinesis. She commands her loyal minions to scatter. A massive army of cards floods the area. Her orders are simple: find Kannagi Minato for her. But her opponent isn't letting her go anywhere near Kannagi. He starts building up massive energy. Another Scarlet Thunderbolt crashes down, but he manages to zip out of the way just in time. The two headquarters fighters are back together, side by side. Asura emerges through the smoke and mist. He explains his power, physically manifesting his own emotions. He covers his face, activating his signature move, Mask of 1,000 Faces. With a terrifying aura and a voice like death, he tells them to prepare. His eyes turn pitch black, his face totally unrecognizable. This is the face of anger. Dozens of lightning bolts rain down, filling the battlefield with a deafening roar. Meanwhile, over in Takurozawa, Saitama Prefecture is shaking. Akin is unleashing her even menace ability in a brutal fight. Her partner is barely escaping the wild strikes of the man in bandages. One of his arms is massive, deformed and huge. He rains down punches on the blonde man, who is desperately trying to hold his ground. The villains strike smash into the surrounding mountains and rocks. Creating total destruction with every hit, the giant-armed man won't stop. He is relentless in his pursuit. But a familiar voice cuts right through the chaos. It is Suo, arriving on the scene with his soaring Tengu ability. A thick smokescreen rises, and the enemy tries to clear it with that monstrous hand of his. Just like that, he blows away the sand whirlwind with ease. Down below, 3 headquarters warriors stand together, keeping their eyes on him. Akin looks worried. She knew this would be a tough fight, but this guy is even stronger than she expected. He glares back with hollow, terrifying eyes. That bandaged man is Dree, one of the 12 disciples of the Apocalypse. He figures since they survived his opening move, they must be pretty strong. But to him, those 3 are nothing but a minor nuisance to him. He is looking to end this quickly without wasting energy. Hanada just smirks. He tells the guy he is acting pretty cocky for someone whose life is about to end. Suo starts powering up a massive strike. He is ready to teach this idiot a lesson he will never forget. Akin senses it. She sees Suo losing his cool. She is terrified he is about to do something reckless and stupid. But she gets it. Memories of his brother's funeral flood back, that dark day when everything changed for them. It was the 12 disciples who took Captain Makoto's life, the very group standing right in front of them now. Dree narrows his eyes. He realizes this red-haired kid looks exactly like that weakling he killed, Makoto Suo. With a wicked grin, he asks if he is actually that loser's little brother. Suo's eyes go wide. A cold, paralyzing chill rushes through his entire body. Flicking out a disgusting tongue, Dree mocks him. He asks how it feels to have such a pathetic brother who couldn't even beat a loser. That is the final straw. Suo's composure snaps as pure, unadulterated rage takes over. Blinded by hatred and bloodlust, he lunges forward, sword drawn. Meanwhile, Dree's massive hand starts twisting into a bizarre cannon of living flesh. He is charging up his La Traviata. From the tip of that freakish arm, a ball of purple energy begins to glow with immense power. The trio is caught completely off guard. They can only stare in shock as the lethal ability targets them. Over at headquarters, things are reaching a breaking point. The medical team is desperately using every ounce of power to save Io. Suddenly, they catch a pulse. Rin grabs the woman's hands, feeling that steady heartbeat. Relief washes over her, and she can barely hold it together. Tears of pure joy and relief start streaming down her face. Another woman barks into the comms, demanding a status report from the Ushijima unit immediately. The girls report back. They have nearly finished closing up the captain's wounds. So, 4 elite warriors stand ready to back up the Kannagi unit, but the young man in the cap tells them to wait. They have a situation. A swarm of cards suddenly appears on site, clearly hunting for Kannaga's location. Tengen. He orders everyone into formation. Their mission is clear: protect Kannagi at all costs until he finally wakes up. While one group fights for Io's life, the rest prepare for a showdown with the cards. The warriors steel themselves, ready to take down every single one of those mysterious invaders. But the man with the goatee feels it. A massive surge of energy that just wiped out an entire area. Sakazaki and Uryu feel the ground buckle under their feet, shaking like a powerful earthquake. But Sakazaki knows the truth. This is not just some natural tremor. A massive purple vortex tears through the air, completely shattering the flow of energy in the environment. The guard watching number 0's cell realizes he is gone. He is terrified, calling that guy an absolute monster. Uryu starts screaming in a panic. He thought the bastard was trapped in a rift forever. Time is running out. Sakazaki tells the boy they have to blast that monster even deeper into the void. Uryu looks hesitant. But Sakazaki pushes him. They have to do this to save the captain. Before he can say another word, something catches his eye and he looks toward the sky. His jaw drops. He stares in absolute disbelief at the sight unfolding right above them. A blinding beam of blue light is erupting from deep within the headquarters building. Minato is there helping the girls, passing energy to Io. Let's see if he can save her. Rin watches the newly awakened boy, her eyes shimmering with heavy and deep emotion. He is totally locked in, determined to heal her. While working his magic, Kanagi asks how long he was out. Rin says it was only a few hours. She can't look away, wondering how he could possibly recover this fast. While they are with Io, Number 0 is finally escaping from his prison. She nervously asks if he is truly capable of winning. Our hero assures her he'll win, but stick with me, something is about to change. There is one thing he must do. His hair begins changing color. With snowy white hair, he continues passing energy to Io. He whispers an apology, hating that he kept her waiting so long. Borrowing strength from the soul within, Kanagi activates the sacred medical tome skill. A flood of pure energy begins flowing from his body toward the lady. Sacred medical tome is a skill of Warren, the sovereign apothecary. It lets the user instantly activate the ultimate healing arts stored within the mind of a god. That lethal chest wound starts stitching itself back together in seconds. Finally, it closes completely, leaving her totally intact. The other healers are speechless after witnessing such a divine display. The girl with glasses is totally dumbfounded. It is more than a closed wound, it is perfectly healed. Even her internal organs are intact. She is desperate to understand the secret behind this magic. It doesn't take long before the lady slowly begins to regain her consciousness. Rin breaks down again, crying out to her friend. Io looks toward him, showing she is well and conscious. Everything is blurry, but she recognizes Kanaga's warm smile. She smiles back, whispering that he finally arrived. With what little strength she has, she reaches for him. Suddenly, she no longer sees Kanagi, but rather Warren, the lady who healed her. Our hero holds the lady's hand with both hands very gently. Smiling calmly, he says she should be more careful. Io tried her best, but apologizes for not being helpful. But he disagrees. To him, she was absolutely spectacular. Warren tells her to sleep now, that the danger has passed. When she wakes up, they'll feast together just like they did years ago. Images of their childhood together flash by, simple times and shared meals. The memory makes Io emotional, and her eyes well up. She happily agrees to her old friend's promise. Warren looks out and asks the other souls if they are ready to act. Meanwhile, a shower of living cards is storming through the headquarters building. A young man there draws his blade, using metal reinforcement and thousandth blow skills. He uses his momentum to swing the sword like a baseball bat. He is knocking the cards away and shredding them. Shredded paper everywhere. Those little card minions are being sliced into absolute ribbons. Our blonde fighter leaps in, unleashing her martial arts and that devastating lethal chain blast. The duo teams up, tearing through those card grunts together. She is putting everything into this, yet only one card falls. It is a grim flashback to their struggle against Eva. Every single one of these creeps has power on par with Enshikami. Actually, they are way beyond that level. She senses danger from behind and pivots instantly to defend her blind spot. Out of nowhere, a 3 of clubs delivers a brutal kick right to her face, sending her flying backward. But she has got grit. She digs in, regains her balance, and refuses to go down. Relentless. There is no way she is going out like this, not without a proper fight. A massive wave of cards swarms her, but she is not planning on letting them win. A memory flashes by Captain Makabe smiling, telling her that the fate of the world rests on her shoulders. With that weight on her, she will keep swinging until her very last breath. She has no other choice. Just as she lunges back into the fray with her martial arts, something changes. She is not fighting alone anymore. Captain Makabe himself appears, using his stone punch to absolutely obliterate a cluster of cards near her. She cannot believe her eyes. She screams the captain name, desperate for confirmation that he is actually standing there. He just gives her a warm smile, looking completely unfazed. He jokingly apologizes for returning, since a real warrior is supposed to die on the battlefield. Then, bam, someone wielding a golden bat ability clears out a whole swarm of cards in one swing. The kid in the cap watches this unfold, looking totally dazed and confused. It is Captain Yorwichi, striking a flashy pose while casually dismantling cards with that legendary bat of his. His face turns dead serious as he commands everyone to listen up right now. He is ready to end these cursed cards once and for all, and he needs their help to finish the job. Our two young heroes are suddenly feeling way more energized. Having their captains back on the field has sent their morale through the roof. But before they charge in, Captain Makabe tells them to hold on. He spots Kanagi high up, right next to the armored batter. Our main character stands centered among the cards, sword drawn and ready for whatever comes next. Makabe can tell he is about to make a massive move. The boy shifts his stance. As the cards start closing in, he grips his hilt with terrifying focus. Pure concentration. He begins channeling immense energy throughout his entire body. He lets that power flow through his arms, smooth as a drop of water hitting a river. This is it, the Hinoki style, the ultimate sword technique. He finally lets loose, unleashing a shadow vortex that shreds every single card in the blink of an eye. His blade starts spinning, creating a massive vortex that literally swallows the sky. The guys below can only watch in pure awe. A rain of shredded paper starts falling. Every piece of those cards is now just lifeless scrap, exactly where they belong. Back on the other battlefield, chaotic red lightning is still striking down everywhere you look. C suddenly freezes, her eyes going wide as something catches her completely off guard. Asura looks over, asking his partner what on earth is going on. She is in shock. There were over 500 cards out there, a literal army, and yet they were all wiped out in a single heartbeat. All right, you and I see his eyes burning with hatred as he asks if this is Kanagi Minato's work. He vows that he will kill him. His cold gaze then shifts toward his opponents remaining on the battlefield. While the two dodge lightning bolts, he sneers that he has better things to do than fight these little worms. He screams at them to stop struggling and just drop dead already. Midori lets out a heavy sigh and finally prepares to make his move. Shifting into a new stance, the man starts gathering energy for his next big strike. He grips one arm with the other, pointing directly at the two enemies standing right before him. As his arm starts glowing with power, he declares that they are the ones about to die. Veins start popping across Asura's face, matching the intensity of his growing rage. Staring him down, he demands to know exactly what Midori thinks he is playing at. But before he can act, a strange mark appears on his arm and starts to glow. It is the holy seal of exorcism, the powerful signature ability of the man in sunglasses. He unleashes a barrage of projectiles at Asura and Seth, leaving the two worrying about the incoming attack. At the same time, they find some relief in the fact that the attack seems pretty slow. This gives them plenty of time to dodge, and Asura wasted no time calling Mikado a complete fool for throwing such sloppy projectiles their way. He doesn't even finish his sentence before realizing the projectiles are actually homing in on the divine seal. He realizes much too late that Mikado managed to plant the seal during the first strike, and now those projectiles are actually tracking the marked target with precision. Even so, Asura isn't worried since the projectiles are moving so slowly. But he doesn't even finish that thought before Mikado appears behind him, landing a punch so powerful that he's sent flying with a scream of pure agony. He furiously fires off an energy blast to push Mikado back, just as it finally clicks in his mind that the projectiles were a total trap to break his defense so Mikado could punch him to death. Mikado realizes that Asura has a whole lot swirling around in his head, so he tells him that whatever he's thinking is dead wrong. Suddenly, more seals manifest on his body, and Mikado tells him he should probably check behind him. Asura turns around and is horrified to see a cluster of projectiles closing in at high speed. He barely leaps away in time, but that just leaves him wide open for Mikado's next hit. The guy is sent soaring into the distance while the projectiles stay locked on his tail. Mikado mocks him, saying he should have grasped the bitter truth by now, and that truth is the fact that every single hit allows him to place another engraved seal. Every single engraved seal doubles the speed of the projectiles, and just as Mikado is explaining this fact out loud, Asura is already feeling the terrifying effects. He tries his absolute best to run, but before he can even react, the projectiles finally manage to catch up to him. They hit him with such force that he screams in pain, realizing that every single projectile carries just as much damage as Mikado's melee strikes. In the end, Asura is completely overwhelmed and crushed by the projectiles, resulting in a massive, blinding explosion. Once the chaos finally settles down and everything is quiet, Asura is seen crawling through the dirt as Mikado walks up to ask if he is finally done throwing tantrums. Realizing just how terrifying Mikado really is, Asura knows things are about to get ugly. Desperate to keep his distance, he frantically triggers a corrosive skill, trembling in fear as deadly gases swarm to protect him. But elsewhere, Seth is already trapped in Q's grip. He's screaming like a maniac, begging for mercy since he's not ready to die like trash. But Q just tells the guy to shut up while crushing the life out of him. Seconds later, he's completely swallowed by Q's hair as his mana is sucked out like a juice box, with his energy totally gone. His cards literally crumble into dust, and just like that, Q has Seth fully neutralized. Meanwhile, Mikado is still explaining his insane powers to a shocked Asura. He explains that while the projectiles start slow, at only 5.56 meters per second, roughly the speed of a heavy bowling ball, these homing shots pack the exact same punch as his full-power melee strikes. And get this, every single hit stacks up more seals on the target. He demonstrates this by triggering the marks already burned into his body. Mikado reminds him he's already taken 20 hits from both close and long range, pushing the speed limit to over 5,800 kilometers per second. Mikado mocks the battered Asura, daring him to even try dodging before the final attacks descend. All Asura can do is scream as the pain hits. With absolute force, Asura is slammed into the dirt, clearing the air of all that poison. With the fight over, Mikado flashes back to a training session with the brother of Suo, where the guy calls his ability a total cheat code because it's just that broken. Suo warns him that once a single hit lands, the match is basically decided. Still, Mikado admits it's tricky since the stronger the enemy, the harder it is to actually land that first crucial strike. Plus, it takes 10 full seconds for that initial seal to manifest, which feels like an eternity. Midori just laughs, asking if such a slow enemy even exists, while effortlessly dancing around every single one of Mikado's punches. He's proving a point. Mikado complains about his weak technique, but Midori just teases him, telling him he just needs more raw muscle. Though Mikado knows a natural genius could never understand his struggle, he shouts his vow at Midori, telling him to just wait until he becomes part of the task force. Midori, classic as always, tells him he's looking forward to that day. He even suggests a massive group brawl once everyone has finally leveled up their skills. Back in the now, Mikado feels like he finally has a shot at hitting Midori, even if it's just once. Mikado walks over to Q, who admits Mikado's help with the lightning was key. But he's quick to point out that his own fight is finished too. Right there on the ground lies the empty, mana-drained shell of Seth. Mikado tells Q they need to go back up Suo and the others, knowing that even 3-on-1 is a nightmare. Q agrees, but mentions that Awakens said something really strange before. Meanwhile, all right, you and I are back in the heat of battle, as Dree continues his clash with Suo's squad. While Awakens works on a secret plan in the background, she's taking her sweet time. Meanwhile, Dree's having the time of his life, raining massive fire down on the whole team. The barrage is so fast and erratic that even Suo can't predict where it's going to land. Then impact. Suo's right in the blast zone, leaving his teammates screaming out to see if he's even alive. As the smoke clears, Suo confirms he's okay since he barely managed to deflect the hit. But still, Suo knows they can't keep blocking forever. Akin needs to finish what she's doing, and fast. Dree sees them struggling and starts mocking the team with a twisted grin. He taunts them, asking how much more of this they can actually take. Dree promises that he's about to show them what true hopelessness feels like. Turns out, Dree has one last nasty weapon hidden in his arsenal. His boss told him to save it as a final last resort, but he's decided it's time to unleash it. Dree. He pulls out a hideous artifact covered in creepy, staring eyeballs. Dree promises this artifact is going to finish them. Even Suo's squad is frozen in absolute terror. They have no idea what this hideous thing is. Instead of talking, Dree chooses to show them instead, and a massive wave of blasts suddenly erupts from the artifact. He explains that the artifact releases satellites that can mimic the exact same skills as the owner. The squad looks up and freezes. The satellites have the entire area locked down. The next attack is coming from every single angle. Right then. Now watch, Dree unleashes full cannon fire and promises them one thing. Absolutely everything in the airspace is about to be incinerated. As the fire rains down, Suo realizes there's no way they can dodge everything. The yellow-headed guy sees it too. He screams out Akin's name, and she arrives just in time to rescue them, saying she can finally see it. But Dree isn't worried. He claims he can see through her too. In the end, all of Dree's attacks combine into one massive ball of fire that slams right onto their position, frying everything in sight. Dree's already celebrating their deaths, thanking his boss for giving him such an insane power. Dree remembers when his boss found him, offering that cursed artifact to replace his lost, severed arm. It fused with his body to give him insane power, but it's slowly destroying his flesh and making him hideous, which is exactly why he's forced to wrap his body up like a mummy. Dree's soaking it in. Dree is soaking in his victory when he suddenly notices a strange green light flickering in the distance. The dust settles. He sees Akin reflecting a bright green light from her hand, and the entire squad is perfectly safe. Dree is beyond pissed that they survived, and he unleashes a massive wave of cannon fire that Akin simply nullifies. Dree's He's in total shock that his fire cannon failed, so Akin decides to explain the new reality of things. Stick with me, she's about to reveal the secret of her current skill. It is known as Mephilaziel, a skill that lets her rewrite the nature of any ability she manages to fully analyze. Akin tells Dree the truth. She just flipped his attack into a massive healing skill. Suo and the blonde guy confirm it, as all their injuries vanish in an instant. Akin explains she is using the leftover energy to give them a huge power boost, meaning their physical stats will be dialed up for about 1 minute. Dree hears this and loses it. Akin just made him completely and utterly useless. Akin just smiles, telling him he could not possibly understand what is happening. But it is pretty obvious that the game is officially over for him. Dree finally realizes he is cooked and does the only thing a coward can. He tries to run away. But the blonde fighter is not letting that happen before he can even take a step. He strikes with a brutal flurry of attacks to punish him. Dree is hammered from every direction at once, unable to fight back. By the time the blonde warrior finishes, Dree is left broken and bleeding everywhere. The blonde guy admits his body feels way lighter than it did before. But since he is bored of playing with Dree, he leaves the rest to Suo. Using Hinoki's signature, one-handed sword style, combining the dice slash with autumn thistle, Suo unleashes a terrifying matter annihilation skill. A massive grid of lasers erupts, piercing through Dree's body until he just turns to dust. Suo mocks Dree for having the nerve to call his brother trash while telling him he will have to face his brother in the afterlife, if there is even anything left of him to go there. Just like that, Dree is totally defeated by Suo, Akin, and the blonde fighter, Hanada. Once the dust settles, the backlash of her power hits Akin and she collapses to the ground. Suo and Hanada rush to her side. While unconscious, all she can think of is apologizing to Midori. It all goes back 7 years to when Midori and Akin first met. Akin's childhood home was engulfed in flames, and when Midori finally arrived on the scene, she lashed out at him for being so late. Turns out, there was a special rank prophecy known as the Bud of Nightmare. Meanwhile, Akin's father was actually connected to something called the Anti-Prophecy. But he accidentally found a cursed painting, and the moment it was activated, it warped the world into a dark dimension centered on his mansion, a literal living nightmare. Midori charged into the chaos and entered the painting to stop the prophecy from triggering. But it was too late. Her parents, the guests, the servants, everyone was slaughtered, leaving Akin as the only one left alive. Akin screamed at Midori for being the world's strongest Awakener, yet failing to stop the prophecy that tore her family apart. Drowning in tears and rage, she demands to know why he was late. Rin, who was there with Midori back then, tried to speak up, but Midori signaled for her to stay silent. They just stood there, absorbing every bit of blame and hatred Akin could throw at them. It was not until much later that Akin learned the truth about that day. Midori had been halfway across the world, fighting to stop a different prophecy. He had saved hundreds of thousands of people, but Akin had no clue and said things she could never take back. To make matters worse, only 16 years old and already carrying the weight of the entire world on his shoulders. But then, Akin looks at Midori during training. She asks if he hates losing his life like this, sacrificing every moment of his youth just to keep those dark prophecies from ever coming true. Deep down, she is stunned. Why would he risk everything for someone as selfish as her? Midori just smiles. He says he is never truly alone, even when the task force splits up. Sure, they might not always be standing side by side on the same battlefield, but their hearts, they are always united. He tells her that because of this connection, he never feels lonely. His team is his foundation. In fact, he even keeps their group photo as his phone wallpaper. In that moment, Midori promises Akin that one day, she will finally understand exactly what he means by that. Fast forward to now, Akin finally wakes up. She frantically asks Suo and Hanada how long she was out. Their answer, not even a full minute. Dropping to her knees, her heart heavy with regret and sudden, sharp clarity, she tells them the truth. She needs to find Midori and apologize for everything. But Suo stops her right there. He has got his own debt to pay back too. He owes Midori everything for being such a loyal friend to his late brother, Suo Makoto. Hanada chimes in too. He wants to surpass Midori one day. That is why dying is not an option. They are all on the same page now. Midori is not going anywhere on their watch. Akin stands tall. It is time. They are going to bring their friend back home. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kannagi reaches the limestone cave, and Captain Surosaki nearly jumps out of his skin. He asks if the training is done, but Kannagi is not talking. He just tells the captain to run. He warns him that number 0 is about to unleash total and absolute destruction. A massive blast of turbulence is coming, right before stepping into the rift. Kannagi glares toward the void and tells number 0 not to even think about running. Without a single trace of fear, Kannagi vanishes into the rift. The captain can only watch in awe. 0 is waiting. He smiles, genuinely surprised that the boy actually had the guts to show up. He mocks him, asking if he really thinks he can actually win this fight. But Kannagi shuts him down. He is not just here to fight, he is here to save Midori. 0 is stunned. This was not the plan. He remembers what happened before. Io told him to stay put for 2 days. She promised him a special surprise. Something very interesting, to be exact. Midori cannot believe Kannagi is back so soon. 2 days of prep, he did it in record time. But still, Midori thinks he is still weak. He is busy trash talking when Kannagi suddenly blurs, launching a savage combo. Boom, Kannagi lands a heavy kick right on target. But wait, something is wrong. The impact feels empty. it did not connect. Number 0 used a perfect defense to kill Kanaga's momentum instantly. 0 laughs in his face. He admits the kid is fast, but fast is not enough. Now it is his turn. He is ready to end this once and for all. 0 begins to gorge on massive amounts of energy. He is preparing a massive turbulence blast. Kanagi realizes the truth. 0 is trying to use that power to force an escape. He is pouring every ounce of his aura into creating a rift-shattering explosion. This technique, it is a death sentence. It obliterates everything it touches, and to stop it. To counter, Kanagi unleashes his own massive turbulence. Meanwhile, the other founders are scrambling to get their comrade, Skirnir, the founder of Wind, into the battle. He is way too busy chilling in a zen state of mind. But Rowan, the Dragon's Claw founder, bites him to snap him out of his laziness. It finally hits Skirnir that Kanagi dying would be game over for everyone, which is exactly why he has already taught him his divine wind. Back on the battlefield, Number 0 is stunned seeing Kanagi manipulate turbulence like this, within that chaotic, swirling storm of energy. Kanagi stays safe inside a calm pocket he created himself. He tells his enemy that all he needs is a tiny sliver of safe space. But Number 0 just gets angrier, cranking up the speed of his onslaught. Surprisingly, his entire attack is just cancelled out by Kanaga's sheer skill. Ryan warns the team that fighting from this distance is a losing game. She suggests using Mel's unique skill to close the gap immediately so they can end this nightmare as fast as they can. He explains that Kanagi can pull this off thanks to his insane skill combinations. Before Number 0 can even process the move, Kanagi is already in his face, forcing the villain to try and scramble away. Then, Kanagi fires off Hinoki's one-sword-style wave, fused with Hadad's thunderbolt to create violet thunder. The blast screams toward Number 0, slamming him so hard he is blown right out of his own turbulence. With Number 0 backed into a corner, Kanagi pulls out the Spear of Annihilation, fusing it with the deadly bow to unleash the ultimate skill, Moon Ring Annihilation. Trapped with no exit, Number 0 is shredded by multiple skills at once. He is left reeling, wondering just what kind of monster Kanagi actually is. I mean, the guy is cycling through different attributes without even using artifacts. Finally, it is clear why everyone calls him the one who ends all prophecies. However, Number 0 is somehow still standing, completely unharmed despite that massive onslaught. He just laughs, asking Kanagi if he really thought those trash attacks would work. At this point, Kanagi is dripping sweat and exhausted, yet he has not dealt any real damage. Even Ryan is starting to panic, because Midori's sudden growth is way more insane than he predicted. Number 0 keeps mocking him, saying he is going to lose because he was not prepared for this level of power. But just as 0 prepares to strike, Kanagi drops a massive bombshell. He shouts that Io is still alive, and as soon as Midori hears it, his body instinctively fights back against Number 0's control, stopping the attack in its tracks. Kanagi yells to Midori that everyone is still safe, calling out their names one by one. He needs him to know that they are all still waiting for him. Kanagi even screams out that Midori still has not paid back his debt for all those favors he did for him. Hearing this declaration, Rian signals Pontajali to step forward and execute their secret backup plan. She places her hand on Kanaga's back and triggers her skill, Full Release. This pushes his skill points into total overdrive, flooding Kanagi with an absolutely overwhelming surge of energy. Number 0 is left completely stunned when he sees Kanagi. Our hero makes it clear he is finally going all out now, even with this massive power-up Kanagi just unleashed. Ryan looks worried. There is a dark reason for his concern. Back when Kanagi trained with Hinoki, the founders were debating with Ryan about the looming war against Number 0. They realized that given Kanagi's current power, he just was not ready yet. He would need at least 1 full week of specialized training to even stand a chance. Without that, a victory was impossible. The other founders are left. Horrified, Ryan then reveals a terrifying truth: Midori is actually still evolving at an absolutely insane pace. Ryan analyzed the combat footage of Kannagi and Hinoki fighting against the monster, combined with the grim task force reports regarding his dark childhood years, including that massive scale of destruction he caused in Detroit. They have concluded that Midori will eventually become just as powerful as the founders themselves. Ryan notes that even with Kannaga's potential, he cannot close that massive gap in such a short amount of time. This leaves the founders panicked. They ask, what are we even supposed to do now? Ryan mentions a secret method, but it comes with a devastating price. Pantajali, their master of support buffs, says if Kannagi cannot match Midori's power, she will be forced to force open every single one of his chakra points. These points hold the very essence of human life. Opening them will boost Kannaga's strength to godlike levels instantly. However, his physical body and soul will suffer truly catastrophic damage. She warns that in the worst case, this damage will be permanent. The founders are terrified of the risks, but Kannagi overhears them while training. He demands they use the method, no matter what the personal cost. Hinoki is stunned. Kannagi is tracking their conversation while maintaining his focus on their intense duel. This multitasking is proof he is evolving right now. Kannagi insists he owes Midori a debt he must repay. He will save his friend's life, whatever it takes. Honoring his wish, they trigger the ritual. Now, with Kannaga's body absolutely exploding with raw energy, he closes the distance to number 0 in a flash, delivering a massive punch that sends the villain flying back. Number 0 is in total shock. He actually felt that. He took damage. Kannagi actually pierced through his ultimate defense. Before he can react, our hero is already charging back in. Number 0 unleashes a wave of pure chaos, but Kannagi negates it. The villain screams at Kannagi, telling him not to be so arrogant as they trade world-shaking blows. Seconds later, Kannagi presses his finger against the enemy's chest and triggers his tranquility skill, blasting right through the monster's body. Number 0 tries to counter, but he's frozen. That last attack has completely paralyzed his entire system. Then Kannagi unleashes Hinoki's signature wave-cutting blade, followed by a barrage of high-level techniques. All right, check this out. Kannagi brings everything together to strike number 0 down. Midori's body is covered in deep wounds as number 0 lets out a blood-curdling scream. While the founders look on, both satisfied and completely stunned. Ryan is absolutely floored. It looks like Kannaga's true potential is even more insane than he ever imagined. Kannagi decides it is finally time to end this clash for good, unleashing a legendary cloud-splitting skill that completely overwhelms number 0's defenses. As death looms, number 0 realizes he is in trouble and desperately tries to summon a maximum power wind wall. But Kannagi intercepts him mid-cast, appearing in a state of pure power, looking like he went Super Saiyan, telling him he is far from done. Number 0 watches in absolute terror as Kannagi rains down another wave of strikes, leaving him utterly helpless. Then finally, Kannagi places a hand on his opponent's chest, channeling a skill that burns light into his core. A blinding radiance explodes, ravaging the enemy's body from the inside out with pure energy. The agony is unbearable, making him scream. But as Kannagi closes in for the kill, number 0 pulls out a secret artifact. An elixir, a rare item that grants the user a 3-minute burst of instant and continuous recovery. Number 0 grins wickedly as he glares at Kannagi, cranking his turbulence power to the absolute limit and blasting his way out of the dimensional rift. He soars into the sky, laughing like a maniac because his plan finally worked out. He taunts Kannagi, claiming that no weapon or skill can kill him while the artifact is active. But Kannagi simply shrugs it off, telling him that he is happy to just keep fighting until that timer runs out. Suddenly, the massive recoil from Kannaga's own skill hits him like a freight train, and blood begins to spray from every pore. He collapses to the dirt in a state of agony, while number 0 just laughs, mocking him for using a power that was clearly burning through his very life force. The villain is convinced that Kannagi doesn't have the strength to survive much longer. Number 0 declares it is time for the end, firing a lethal energy blast directly at the fallen hero. But Akin arrives at the perfect moment, blocking the lethal strike with her magic. Back before the fight, Kannagi had actually pulled Akin aside to discuss a plan. He showed her the turbulence technique. Leaving her stunned, he could replicate Midori's legendary skill. He just smiled, promising to explain the whole mystery once the battlefield was finally cleared. He asked if she had mastered Lesson 15 yet, and she gave him a confident yes. But she warned him that analyzing such a complex power would take some time. That's when Akin realized Kanaga's real motive. He needed her skill to decode the secrets of the turbulence energy. Kannagi entrusted Akin with one crucial mission, protecting everyone once the final showdown with Number 0 began. And that is exactly what she is doing now. Number 0 is speechless as his attack vanishes, and even more shocked to see Kannagi healing up. The villain howls in pure rage, screaming that he used the world's strongest peak-level skill, so there's no way he should lose. He desperately unleashes another massive turbulence wave. But instead of destruction, the energy transforms into a literal healing pool for the heroes. Now, the entire squad has finally arrived, and Akin just gives us a knowing smile. She tells Kannagi that she has kept everyone safe. Now it is his turn to lead as captain. Kannagi is absolutely stunned by Akin's god-tier skills and her incredible focus. He fires up the team. It is time to save Midori from Number 0's clutches, before that monster even realizes what is happening. The heroes swarm him. They unleash a relentless wave of high-level attacks directly onto his physical form. Suo is confident they can win, even though Number 0's wounds keep regenerating at an insane speed. But with Akin's massive power buff, taking down Number 0 is finally within their reach. Number 0 simply cannot keep up with all these superpowered strikes hitting him all at once. Hanada takes his chance, raining down a barrage of brutal punches on the villain's face. Meanwhile, Suo and Kannagi ready their ultimate purgatory sword to end this fight. When Number 0 sees what kind of heat they are bringing, he panics. The monster frantically builds a wall, desperate to block their incoming finishing move. But the white-haired girl shatters his defense, slamming him with her reality-bending void skill. Number 0 is losing it. A warp user joined the fray. This was not in his plan. He is frozen in fear, trying to process his next move when Mikoto strikes from the shadows below, landing a massive uppercut that sends him spinning through the air. Mikoto screams out at Midori. He tells him to wake up and reclaim his body. Furious, Number 0 counters with a cloud attack. But there is no rest. Q suddenly snags him using that forbidden technique, the scarlet hair. With Number 0 completely tied up by Q's hair, the anti-demon divine seal begins spreading across his skin. In just a few seconds, Mikoto's skill strikes him just as he's shouting for Midori to wake up. Now look at this, Q spots Ikika watching, looking completely unbothered. So he asks her, "Are you not joining in?" Ikika declines. She says she doesn't need to join because she has nothing left to say to Midori. She's leaving the rest to the younger generation, but back in the heat of battle, Number 0 is absolutely wrecked. His life force is flickering out like a dying candle. Panic sets in. It finally hits him. His wounds aren't closing up anymore. The artifact's power has finally run dry. Now, he is desperately scrambling to find a way to shield himself with wind magic. But then, Kannagi tells Suo it is finally time to end this fight. Together, they channel the Hinoki One sword style to unleash a devastating spirit cut. Moving in perfect sync, the two land a soul-cutting slash that shreds Number 0's spirit to pieces. Number 0 screams in pure agony. He knows it. He's finished and there's no way out. The spirit cut explodes in a massive blue light, flooding the area and ripping Number 0 out of Midori's body. Finally, the strongest is free from that monster's grasp. You and I have to see this. The spirit cut slices intangible souls with pure energy. Apparently, a master swordsman can pull this off once they reach a certain level, and they don't even need a real blade. Number 0 is paralyzed in shock. He cannot believe his soul was actually just sliced in half. He screams out in agony as he is finally purged from Midori's body. Akin rushes toward Midori as he falls to earth. Meanwhile, Suo is in total disbelief that they actually managed to pull it off. Suo tries to refocus. Right then, he feels his brother's presence nearby. A spirit pats him from behind, a job well done. Suo spins around in a panic, but there's absolutely nobody there. He knows he felt his brother's presence, looking up at the sky as he says his name. Midori, however, is finally back to his normal self, excitedly telling his friends that he can no longer feel Number 0's presence hiding inside him. Without a second thought, Akin lunges forward to give Midori a massive hug. Kannagi joins them with a warm smile, reaching out his hand for a friendly shake. Midori reaches out to take Kannaga's hand in return. But just as he starts to thank him for saving his life, Number 0's essence blasts out of Midori's fingers and straight into Kannaga's body. Midori screams in absolute horror as a blinding light erupts, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. He realizes instantly that Number 0 is trying to hijack Kannaga's physical form. And surprisingly, the villain actually pulls it off. Once the chaos finally settles, Kannagi reveals he knew all along about the 2 artifacts Number 0 used to body swap. He expected the bastard to try this the moment he felt cornered. Turns out, Ryan and Azure already predicted this move. While Kannagi stays perfectly calm, Akin and Midori are completely losing it. Midori panics that Number 0 is inside him now, which Kannagi coolly confirms. But he points out that Number 0 just made the biggest mistake of his miserable life by choosing that body to hide in. Meanwhile, Number 0 is busy celebrating his successful invasion of Kannaga's body. In his mind, he has no more use for Midori. After all, he finally controls the man destined to end all prophecies. He's so caught up in his victory that he misses the founders watching him with pure rage. By the time he looks around, it is already too late. Kannagi tells his friends that his own body was the most dangerous place Number 0 could have possibly chosen for his escape. While he is talking, Number 0, or Warren Hastings, is getting absolutely demolished by the founder's spirits. He's trapped in a loop of agony until his soul simply stops existing. With a bright smile, Kannagi tells his team it's finally over, and it is time for them to head back home. Meanwhile, Ikika finds Hajime, who somehow survived the chaos. She lets him know his boss is finished. Hajime doesn't care, admitting he never felt any loyalty to the guy anyway. He asks Ikika why she even bothered to let him live. Her answer, the guy still has some untapped potential left in him. Hajime watches in shock as Ikika slices through his chains, leveling the massive tree behind him. She tells him to go get those wounds fixed up. With a truly wicked look, Ikika promises to train him so hard that he'll actually beg for death. Luckily for him, her authority means his life is officially hers. Thanks to her status, Hajime gets a second chance as her new apprentice. Back with the others, Midori smiles as Mikoto and Q arrive. Mikoto charges at him, looking ready to punch him. But Midori doesn't even flinch. Mikoto stops inches away, simply telling his friend he is glad to have him back. Then he grabs Midori and lifts him into the air with one hand, making up for lost time. Eventually, Midori gets roped into a new mission, left behind by Number 0 in England. Back at headquarters, finally, Io wakes up to the news you and I have been waiting for. Midori is back, thanks to the squad. Tears streaming down her face, Io's young granddaughter, Shiki, tells her grandmother how happy she is to have her back at last. Io offers her thanks, even mentioning how she'd love to brew some tea for Midori right now. Meanwhile, 2 agents watch the touching scene unfold from the shadows, feeling a massive sense of relief that it's over, despite the heavy price they paid. The senior agent reminds his junior, Yushima, they still need a plan for what to do with Midori. Still, he decides to just let the group enjoy their hard-earned moment of peace. The team starts recapping the mission, totally blown away by how insanely powerful Midori actually turned out to be. Hanada is already losing it, screaming at Midori to reveal the secret to getting that kind of strength. Only Akin steps in, acting like a shield between Midori and all those prying eyes. She demands they limit questions to 10 seconds each, since Midori is still recovering from his injuries. While the celebrations are in full swing, Kanagi stands in the back with a quiet, satisfied smile on his face. But suddenly, his eyes roll back and he collapses, instantly sending the whole group into a panic. They race to his side, and you and I are about to see a shocking turn of events. His crest of nothingness flickers, turning from its signature bright blue to a dead, hollow black. It's deactivated. Just like that, Kanagi slips into a deep, dark coma, one he might never wake up from. Akin is baffled. His wounds are completely healed, so why won't he open his eyes? Then, a groan, but Midori senses it immediately. The presence coming from that body isn't Kanagi anymore. He's felt this exact energy before. It's the exact same chilling energy from when he first encountered Kanagi back at the school. Midori demands to know who's speaking. Is it really Kanagi, or something else entirely? The presence identifies himself as Rion, and with the secret out, he has to introduce himself. He explains that he lives inside Kanagi's body, revealing himself as one of the legendary founders. The second those words drop, the entire team is left frozen. This was definitely not in the mission briefing. Rion admits they wanted to stay hidden until the very end, but plans have clearly changed. Now, they've been backed into a corner with zero options left but to speak up. Rion asks them for a huge favor. Since they're close to Kanagi, he has a simple request: help him save him. Sometime later, Midori finds a video message from Aridub, warning him that by the time he sees this, Aridub might already be dead. He explains he was desperately trying to keep Midori from losing control of his own physical body. He knew facing Midori meant certain death, but he went through with it anyway. He just wanted to understand the truth, and with a faint smile, he looks into the camera. He makes sure Midori knows one thing: none of this was his fault. The real threat, the 12 apostles of prophecy, they're the true enemies of this world, not him. He begs Midori to stop carrying all that guilt. Because every single disaster was orchestrated and executed by the mysterious number 0. With one last grin, Aridub says he hopes they'll cross paths again someday. After all, he finally made it to Mumbai. Midori finishes the video, and just as we expect him to break down over his friend, Makoto and Q suddenly show up, suggesting they go out and play some ball. Back at the hut of Everlasting, the news is broadcasting Midori's death, a total lie just to keep the public from falling into a chaotic panic. Reports claim he was taken down by the Navy, but honestly, you and I know that's pure fiction. That blonde official knows the military didn't stand a single chance. I.O. reminds him they have no choice. They have to hide the prophecy from the world, and that means hiding the truth. So yeah, they have to rewrite history on the fly. This cover-up is their best shot at peace, and the man finally agrees with that bitter reality. Just as he gets ready to leave, he points out there are still super-rank prophecies out there. They need Midori back in action, and they need him fast. He already has a plan to put Midori back to work. Once he gets his head straight, they need that strength to keep the planet spinning. Cut to Midori casually playing ball with the gang. Makoto checks in on him. I mean, he went from world's strongest to the world's most dangerous disaster overnight. Plus, everyone thinks he is dead. Midori just shrugs. It would be weird for a secret unit like theirs to stay in the spotlight anyway. But he promises to stay sharp. Their enemy is way too dangerous to start slacking off now. Suddenly, Makoto hurls a powered-up ball right at him. He forces Midori to use his powers, just to see if he's truly back in form. Midori claims he is 100% again, making Makoto grin. Nice, but now he has to go stitch that ball back together. Before Midori heads out, Makoto gives him a serious warning. This time, he has to come back alive, and he better not let Kanagi die. Midori nods. He knows the weight of the task ahead of him is heavier than ever. Meanwhile, inside the emergency unit, Midori catches up with Akin and the rest of the crew. Akin asks for an update on Kanagi, but the news is grim. Nothing has changed. He is still completely out of it. Kannagi is looking rough, covered in bandages and hooked up to machines just to keep his heart beating. Then Suo drops. A bombshell. Kannagi is getting worse. His body has actually forgotten how to breathe on its own. The bleeding just won't stop, and even worse, none of their powerful healing skills are working on Kannagi at all. If this keeps up, Suo's afraid he's a goner. Midori finally calls out for Rian, hoping the spirit can hear his voice. Rian pops up, looking genuinely surprised. To see Midori back, he explains that Kannagi used so much power that his very life force was burned away. Now his physical and astral forms are hanging by a thread in critical condition. But wait, it gets even worse than just physical damage. This whole mess has triggered a chain reaction of chaos because their enemy has found a way to step in. The team is panicking now. If the enemy is involved, you know things are about to get ugly. Elsewhere, Kannagi wakes up in a massive field of flowers. He is totally lost, wondering if this is still just a dream. He is so confused. Yelling out for his friends, he thinks they are just hiding nearby, playing some kind of twisted prank. Then, a voice echoes through the field. His body and mind are fading fast, the ultimate price for his sacrifice. He spins around and sees a mysterious figure holding a twisted item. We're in trouble now. Kettle explains this is a golden chance to finally lock away that crest of nothingness he holds. Kannagi is completely frozen, speechless. He demands to know who this is, while the air around them turns cold. Everything shifts. They call themselves the Clusters, the true architects behind every prophecy we know. Their face is a nightmare of many eyes and a twisted grin. They drop the bomb. They are the ultimate enemies of this world. A new war against these destroyers officially begins. Meanwhile, across the tower, Rian breaks the news to Midori. These clusters are interdimensional beings who actually built this place. They founded the tower 300 years ago as humanity's ancient nemesis. Rian warns that only one person can stop them. It is the wielder of the nothingness crest, Kannagi himself. But Kannagi is currently being consumed within. Midori's team must dive in and purge the corruption, rot currently haunting his body. How, Akin asks. Rian tells them to touch him and surrender their very souls to him. Their deep bond will let the crest pull them inside his mind. Rian removes his hat. This mission, pure suicide. One wrong move and their souls will shatter, leaving them dead for real. Despite the impossible and lethal stakes, Rian bows low, begging them for the sake of all humanity to save their friend. Midori tells him to stand up, no need to beg here. He is their captain, they are going. With a final thanks, the four are pulled into the crest. Meanwhile, the clusters are lecturing a helpless Kannagi. They tell him of a man who saw his world die, and supposedly died too. But he regressed to fix it. After countless failures, he finally earned his happy ending. A classic human story, right? Well, that is exactly what the clusters are doing too. Kannagi is lost, but they are rewriting the future. See? These interdimensional watchers have been eyeing Earth for a long time. Parts that aren't quite right, so after that, when everything is ready, inserting the right images and syncing the audio together, then we proceed to export the video for publishing. So this is the process that I create a complete video. Therefore, I really hope that the YouTube support team reconsiders their decision. Check if there are any mistakes anywhere to help us return to the program earning money from YouTube. I sincerely thank you.